Hitting the buttons and making us go live once more. Greetings, everybody, and welcome to Discussing Tabletop. It is, of course, last Saturday in September 27th. We've reached...
You paused kind of long. I thought you were going to say, it's just the last Saturday. It's the last Saturday.
I could do that, but it would remind me of, which, again, this was the conversation we had a little while ago on musicals. Was that before Fall of Avonswell? Was it a slightly musical discussion, or was that with Joe's game? It was somewhere we were having a musical discussion.
Funny enough, I think it was, I think it actually was before or after before discussing tabletop last week.
Oh, it could have been. Just because I remember the last midnight from Into the Woods. So that, again, me saying that and then you saying that has skyrocketed that into my brain when it probably shouldn't be. Weird.
Yeah, because I vaguely remember Momo being part of that conversation, which means, and I'm not currently in a game with Momo, but he was here last week, so.
Anyway.
If not, it could have been anywhere.
The amount of random conversations that I've been known to have is a good chunk of them. So it does make you kind of be
If I really thought about it and tried to remember how the conversation went, I could probably remember like where it happened, but I don't want to put that kind of brain power into it. Like, that honestly sounds like I'd rather devote that brain power towards discussing tabletop.
I highly accept that. I highly accept this as the direction of brain power we're going to. Anyway, I hope everybody had a great week. It was an interesting week, to say the least, definitely. We'll have to talk about the tabletop-related stuff like that, but, I enjoyed my continuing bits of playing some Silksong. So, I didn't get a lot done, though. So, we might be still close to each other. I don't know. I don't know how long a session you can normally have.
My sessions are about 3 to 3.5 hours.
I might be getting a little far ahead, but not very much.
It looked like you were already ahead of me, because I accidentally your stream was open when I turned on my computer yesterday, and I saw you playing it, and I saw an enemy type that I didn't quite recognize. So,
well, there's like a billion different areas, so it's easy to miss those areas sometimes too. The game's big.
It is, yes.
So that's been a very enjoyable kind of thing. I'll probably get more into it. But...
like, I've played a total of 6 hours. Like, that's the thing. I didn't even play it last week. I want to also play Tactical Breach Wizards, because that's a fun game.
I understand this feeling of trying to mix and match too. I got to work on that with my schedule. Kind of try to get a better mix and match of things. But, my attempts to do so have been wrought with insanity. Real life insanity. Whee! Shall we get into the topics we have at very least? Because we got an interesting collection of topics to discuss today. And we can dive into the first one, which is... honestly, I just threw a bunch of these similar ones in together, so we're just doing... It's magic topic. Because there's a bunch of like little things related to magic and D&D and Paizo and stuff like that. So we're starting with everyone's favorite, 1,000,000 tons of secret layers, because hey, you can't get away without them. And
also, sadly, I devoted brain power to it. It was before Fall of Avonswell that we talked about it.
Okay. Thank you.
I started to devote brain power to it, and then I remembered some other stuff about... I remember it devolved into cats. Us talking about the cats, and then other stuff.
Oh, the Cats musical. That's one that when you...
and then I remember Joe said something about that, so I'm like, okay, wait, no, there was...
yeah, that does make it easy to figure it out.
Unless it was Momo said. I'm trying to remember. It's like, because someone said like that the movie was like... they had the old one. No, maybe it was Momo who said that, not Joe. I'm not again. Let's talk about something so my brain goes off this goes off this rail.
Hey, so at very least, here's the unfortunate thing: we're getting a secret layer connected to a bunch of them connected to PlayStation things. They're all unique cards. This is the kind of thing when they're in a secret layer, I hate them the most. I'm not going to lie, because they're going to sell a limited amount of them.
I was like, why are they black? Coming soon. Okay.
Yes, they're revealing a few of them here and there. Granted, I can't tell you, because I haven't really taken a deep look, if any of these are actually any good. I guess I can kind of take a look right now, just as briefly at them. But let's see here. But being, unique cards that you're going to be selling in probably limited supply, it always... Again, if they just did it to whoever wanted to order them and it was a limited amount of time, I would hate this so much less. But the fact that they're on their current way of doing secret layers,
yeah,
and there's a limited quantity, means there's a limited quantity of those cards out there. That's artificially improving the price, whether they're good or not. And if they're good, fuck us.
Yeah, there's okay, like, it's bad for the health of the game because you don't get the proper. So here's the problem with that kind of thing, and that is that, like, if you have like if these cards turn out to be like super pivotal,
yeah,
it's not going to be like what we had with the boiling Vivi, or whatever, the Cauldron of Vivi combo, because not everyone's going to be able to have it. If you don't have it, and this could artificially lead to some people being able to beat out other people. And yes, if you're doing this professionally, you're probably going to get a hold of it, so it might come to light. But it might slip under the radar a whole lot more because there's not as much playtesting, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And then some people could get broken combos that like win every time, but it doesn't quite stand out because there's not enough of them for people to actually discover them.
I don't know. That's the thing. It's like, I'm just looking and I'm like...
Now, the odds of that are kind of low, but if you keep releasing super unique things constantly in very limited supply, you're going to start to run into that issue.
Yeah, this is the one that, like, it screams to me, like... And again, I'm going to say this here. I think the selection of IPs, I don't necessarily agree with. I don't necessarily agree with all of them being, unique cards, but a lot of, like, the types of games they're making cards for, honestly, have a adventurous feel to them,
I actually am not...
Like, for me, for feeling like things that feel like I like Universes Beyond when it feels like it could just be another Magic universe. That's kind of where I'm at with it, when it's an IP outside of it. Like, Lord of the Rings feels like that. Final Fantasy, in a lot of ways, feels like that. Even I was talking some in another group chat or something, and even Warhammer, even though it's hard sci-fi, it's kind of got this interesting fantasy element to it that feels very much so like you could do something like that in a Magic world.
Warhammer is actually science fantasy. That's the thing. Like, people like to call it sci-fi, but there's literally, like, it's psychics, which has always been a sci-fi sub thing, but they do it in such a way to where it's basically just magic.
Yeah. So, like, and again, like, even, like, regular characters from basically another version of our world that's a little bit more fanciful, I'm like, I'm not as bad on it, but, like, when it was... I think it was at its worst with, unfortunately, Spider-Man, where when you don't have enough supplies, you just end up with a bagel and a hot dog cart, stuff like that. And I think that's a little too far. So, but again, these are mechanically unique, which also makes me kind of like, oh, God, I don't know. God. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, I kind of agree. I mean, let's be real. God of War fits it to the T. But, Uncharted is fine, and same with Last of Us, I think. And then you also got like, and actually, Horizon. I'm just gonna say it's Horizon,
yeah.
because like they have like so many different genres. Like Horizon Into the West, Into the Forbidden West, Horizon Zero Dawn, etc.
Yeah.
But like that one also kind of works because it's more like it's kind of like it almost is magic to the people, you know, like they're just giant rogue beasts, and there's stuff like that in Magic from what I'm aware, like robotic beasts.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I don't think any of the IPs they chose are particularly terrible or feel bad, especially for if they were kind of one-off kind of things. But again, it's if they were one-offs that anybody could get them, I would be so much happier about this, you know? I would be like, it's fine, you know?
Yep.
It just feels egregious in that way, and yeah, it's like, okay, coming soon, neat.
Part of me hopes these are reprints, the coming soon ones.
Yeah, that is part of me soon, but I feel like they're probably not going to be, and I think that I kind of hate that the fact that, you know, they're telling us a month out about them, but they're not like letting us know everything about them, because it's kind of like,
well, they're trying to build hype, obviously.
I know it's the hype building, but again, it's another thing of when you have the limited supply, when you have the unique cards, I feel like giving people more time to understand. It's FOMO. I know it's FOMO. It's FOMO, and they're fucking throwing it out there heavily. That like, oh, you shouldn't know if, like, you know, these cards are going to be useful. Just buy them, buy them, buy them. Everybody sell them out.
Oh, can you buy them now without knowing what they are? Can you pre-order?
No, can't do that. If they could, that would be also like. I couldn't even understand how they do.
Scalper through the roof, like literally.
I think the thing is, like, we've already seen that, you know, the Magic side of things, scalping doesn't work very well. It worked briefly in Final Fantasy, but it went very poorly apparently for Spider-Man so far.
Oh, really?
That's good. Yeah. The prices on things have dropped significantly. While, like, the Final Fantasy stuff remained pretty high price, you know, for things on the market, especially for getting the because though there is still supply of the Final Fantasy set, it has been supply issues, so that hasn't corrected the price down to a more reasonable point. You know, there's been some still spiking up there. The Spider-Man stuff was just bad.
Probably because, like, a lot of them just didn't even seem that good at cards, and that's probably part of why it's like.
I think someone said best is it's not a bad limited format, but there isn't hype behind it, and people weren't interested in it in comparison. And the sheer fact is that, you know, as we talked about, it's not going to be at the big conventions. Yeah. So it's like, in a nutshell, if we're just taking it mechanically, it's not a bad set. You know. Yeah. For capturing Spider-Man, not really.
Yeah, but also, like, I haven't heard anything, like, amazing coming out of it. Not that I pay close attention, but
yeah, true.
You know, like, so that's why I'm saying it's not like, yeah, the cards are fine, but they're kind of fit in with all the other cards. You know, it's like,
yeah,
if there was like amazing cards that could like fly through the roof of prices, where it's like everyone's now scrambling to get these cards that can break everything.
Yeah, it's okay stuff, and I'm sure there are some cards that have value, but again, it's a kind of a drop, and it's just. So yeah, we got the PlayStation ones. We'll probably know more upcoming soon. I don't know. Maybe I'll kind of keep this one on a back burner to like take a look at it when it fully comes out. But this isn't the only secret layer that we got. No, that one was announced. We're getting one that's coming out in 2 weeks on the 13th. Instead of it, so it's like we got the next month's worth of secret layers, and this is a bunch of ones that seem meh. So they've got like a promo that if you spent $199 you get for Cryptic Command. All right. And then it's an artist series, Jaws, which at least is like reskinned. The Office, that's reskinned. Dreaming Darkly, I don't know about that one. And then a couple Iron Maiden, and a Halloween one, which seems to be another artist series. And then count them, three 3 Furby art ones. Furby? Is Furby still popular?
Surprisingly, kind of.
Okay. I'll take that as a surprising kind of. I guess we can start with
Where are they? Oh, they're there.
Karen. There's a lot of them here that they're releasing.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Okay, yeah, some of these make more sense. Okay, because like the cutesy ones, I'm like, that doesn't strike what people like about Furbies. People like how kind of creepy they are. That's kind of where their popularity. Because fun fact, I don't know if you remember this, but they actually re-released Furbies in like the 2015s. Like they actually came back and actually started to sell again.
That I missed. Which makes sense. I'll look to someone else to get like value of these, but like looking at them, like it's a mixed bag. Like I think some of them have some value, but like others I just don't. But like also, I'm sorry, there's one of these in the 3rd Serby ones, the odd bodies. Yeah, no, there's one that's just like, what kind of a horrible elder car are you bringing apart us? Thank you.
Like, that's why I'm like, that one makes sense. That's what people like Furbies for, is how weird they are.
Yeah.
I like them.
They did just go for like the most weird, monstrous things for that one, and then it's just like, there's just some Furbies hanging out with stuff, I guess. And then it's cute Furby adventures. I don't know. Who is this artist? You don't give me information about it.
Also, Hasbro. Also, this is really simple for Hasbro. They don't have to actually pay anyone for this one. They own Furby.
Makes sense then.
They're
like, we own Furby. Get some Furby cards.
Yeah. Okay. I was a little late. It was 2012 to like 2013 was like the revival of Furby.
Okay.
Oh no, 2012 to 2015. Okay, yeah. So that's kind of when they were. That's 3rd generation. 2nd generation was like 2005. And then the originals were like, late 90s. Like, I remember the 3rd generation ones because they have like LED eyes.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess it's like 3 styles of Furby: weird Eldritch Furby, Furbies hanging out, and then like a little bit more cartoony, happy-go-lucky.
Cutesy.
Yeah, cutesy.
Yep.
Then, I guess going from the bottom up, because we're talking about that. Then you have the Trick or Treat one, which I guess is fine, but also, like, I'm not gonna lie. The Trick or Treat one, there's something about it I just don't like. It's like...
Who's the artist for this?
It's 2 different artists, it looks like. There's 2 different ones. The Satoru, Vito, and Wilhelt are one set of them, and then Liberator and Voja are another. I can't... It's hard to read on these cards. Maybe I can get a better... So it's Sam Heimer on the 3, and Ryan Roadkill on the other.
Like, Ryan Roadkills, in my opinion, are fine.
I mean, the art style is not bad, but I guess it's just sort of like... It feels a little weird.
The Sam Hammer ones are, like, off-putting in an uncanny way.
I think that's the other thing, too, yeah. They're a little off-putting uncanny in comparison to Ryan's ones. I can agree on that one. Like, I get where they're going with it, and
which I think, which again, I'm not saying is, like, necessarily, I'm not saying his art's bad, I'm just saying, like, clearly he went for a more creepy vibe for the Halloween thing, but it's, I don't know.
I feel like when you're doing, like, costumes, it should be a little bit more cutesy rather than creepy, and those were a little more creepy than
supposed to be
cutesy.
like,
yeah.
Like, there's a place for it, but I don't think this is the one. Like, that's the thing. I just feel like yeah.
And then, is there, like, a major Iron Maiden thing going on right now? Or is there, like, a thing? Because there's the Iron Maiden art. There's album art, and then Eddie Unchained. And I'm guessing Eddie's the mascot. I don't know enough about Iron Maiden. But, like... I'm going to say something here. Are there enough people that are, like, major Iron Maiden fans that are Magic players at this point in time? I can see there being a crossover. But enough for this at this point? Iron Maiden band?
I'm looking them up right now.
Because they've been active from 1975.
They're like kind of old.
They are.
They do have like.
They've been active for 50 years. I'm sorry, that is when you say old. Yes.
Let me put it this way, like they were kind of like a little bit like they're probably like a little bit in that like retro category when we were kids, you know, like it's like they weren't like old, but they were like
they could have been young when they started. It looks like some of them are like around their like late 60s, early 70s. So they're probably young when they started. You know, it has been 50 years. So I'm not busting that they can't be still active. They've done a pretty good discography. You know, it's a name that I recommend and recognize as a heavy metal band. But again, like, I don't remember the early Magic players. Like, you know, again, I'm from the early Magic players. We didn't really have a lot of, like, metalheads in our group during that time period. So, like, I'm not saying it's not, like, necessarily bad, but I'm, like, also confused as to why with them.
I think it's funny, because I knew one metal guy, like, one guy who was, like, really into metal, and if I remember correctly, he thought Iron Maiden was a little bit too mainstream and not really all that, like, heavy metal. You know? Like...
Yeah. Like,
it's kind of like one of those things where they're very much like mid when it comes to actual metal.
It's the thing that, like, if you were looking to capture more nostalgia nowadays, I would have looked to like again, I was never into mainstream music at all. Like, I'm kind of like, occasionally I'll like a song here and there, but I'm never like, just because I like a song from an artist doesn't mean I like the artist, you know, that kind of thing. You know, it's like, oh, that music they did, I like that. And so, like, I'm not a good person for this, but I always felt like, you know, with the people that grew up with Magic, wouldn't you have gone for, like, you know, maybe late 80s, 90s, 2000s kind of bands? I feel like that would have been your direction you would have gone for if you are going for more classic. I feel like this is, like, a decade out. I guess, though, you know, Iron Maiden's been around the entire time. So, I don't know. It feels like a weird choice. It might not be. That's kind of where I'm at with it. But
yeah,
they have the album art. I guess that's fine. They're just redoing the album art.
I think it's fine. Like, this kind of stuff still doesn't bother me as much, you know? Because it's like, they're all reprints.
I agree.
You know?
I find it
weird. If
weird.
people like Iron Maiden, it's fine, you know?
That's the kind of thing is, I find it weird, but I don't mind it. You know, it's like, I don't understand it, but I don't mind it. And also, like, I think I like the album art cards better because they're more readable. They have a couple of those cards in the Eddie Unchained that are just like a little too stylized.
Yeah, they got. Mm-hmm. Oh gosh, and metal style has never been known for its readability.
Yes, that's why I'm like, just have readable cards. Like, anyway.
I actually like Dreaming Darkly. It's kind of unique.
Yes, I'm not. The art style isn't my favorite. But I'm going to tell you, I think it's a very interesting art style. So I think that's a very neat one there.
Yeah, I think it's very much... it's an art style... I do enjoy the art style. You know, it's not like I'd have like a poster of it or something, but like... Or even really want the cards, but I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah, and, you know... I guess this is related to something that... Some kind of work that Jim does. I assume Jim Woodring. That's the only thing I can think of, because rather than being artist series Jim Woodring, it's based on Dreaming Darkly, so it might be art series plus theme too, maybe.
It might have been they went to the artist and was like, hey, can you make something kind of creepy for Halloween times?
Mm-hmm.
Probably where it came from, but
I think that's a good one.
Dwight.
I never liked The Office. I'm not gonna lie.
Neither have I.
I you know, I have never been one for many like sitcom based stuff. That was always kind of like, you know, it's sort of like you could give me clips from those that I would like, but as soon as like I would try to watch the entire thing, I'm like, yeah, no, like 90% of this is incredibly boring, and I don't like.
I get so much secondhand embarrassment from those kind of sitcoms.
Yeah.
It's so hard to watch. It's just like, oh yeah, let me watch. Like, I actually try, because like, everyone in my family liked The Office, so I'm like, I'm gonna sit down and actually try to watch these. I think I got through like half a season, and I just started to.
Again, I think it's the thing that we talk about, like, that the clips that make it around, they make it around because those are the good clips. It does not make a show.
Yep.
A show can have good clips even if it's a terrible show. A movie can have great clips even if it's a terrible movie. So I think that's kind of where it is, where like, yeah, it's not my kind of thing either. So like,
anyway, it's a type of humor, and some people like it. I'm fine with it.
Is there?
I do think it's kind of fun to have him shoved into these like weird scenarios.
I'm sure there's like references to the show with this, which I think is like, it's a fine thing. But again, this kind of comes back to me with the entire like Iron Maiden thing. Is something going on with The Office now that there's a good reason for this now?
I mean, I can tell you right now, Swords of Plowshares, he apparently grew up on a farm. I know that much. And he sometimes brings up farming and stuff. Dwight, assistant to the king, is very much, he's the ear of Michael, the main guy. So like these are references.
Gotcha. Okay.
Eco-friendly. I know he has some stuff related to like environment, but I think it's more, I don't remember how that goes. I think it would have been really funny if they did like a werewolf slayer. Because there's a whole thing. I love that's actually a good scene where he's all like, if you've seen the clip, it's all like, I've not dealt with vampires, but I have hunted werewolves. Before I could prove it, though, it turned back into my neighbor's dog.
Okay, I'll give you that. That's the kind of thing that I'm like, okay, yep, there's your 10%, thank you.
Yep. That's fun. I like that.
Again, it's that 10% that I'm like, hey, that's great. Just give me all the clips, the good clips, and I'll just stick with that. So again, I don't necessarily think this is bad. It's not, again, for me, because I'm not an Office fan, and certainly speaking, I don't see enough of these clips to make it like, oh, that's neat. Maybe it's good cards, but I'm not going to deep dive into card prices there. I'm pretty sure with the amount of time here, we'll get one from like Tolarian College giving us the price breakdown. But again, I'm gonna bring out the question of, is something going on with The Office now that there needs to be like an Office secret layer, or is this just like, I'm not gonna lie, is this what they can get?
People still like it.
Is this what they can get? I keep feeling like there's a little bit of that, like, we're scraping the barrel sometimes with some of these.
I mean, that I kind of agree. It's just, like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, there's a lot to The Office. They could have done a whole secret layer set to that. But why just Dwight?
Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway,
also,
Jaws, we briefly mentioned, fine.
Actually, the first one is a unique card. I couldn't tell. Jaws, Relentless Predator.
Oh.
You can't tell because it's a movie poster.
Whenever Jaws heals...
Combat damage to a player, create that many blood tokens. Whenever non-creature artifact is sacrificed or destroyed, draws, deals 1 damage to an opponent. Yeah.
Are you sure there's not something called Relentless Predator?
Let me take a look. MTG Relentless Predator. Nope.
Don't
Everything
like
related to
that
it is
this card
Jaws.
is what's coming up.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so this is a unique card.
Yeah, as far as I can tell, yeah, it's a unique card, and which is sort of like, yeah, I don't know. Okay, is that okay? See, I'm looking this up, and there is a reason behind it being here. 50th anniversary this year. Okay, cool, great. See, that's another thing. If you have a reason, I give a thumbs up. Did we need a unique Jaws card? No. Like, here's the thing. I don't think it's really good. but I think it could be good enough looking at what it can do. Because blood tokens and artifact sacrifice are decks that do that. And this is an engine for creating both of those. So, like, I'm like, I could see this having play is the thing that I'm, like, looking at that one before, which is one of the things I don't like about when they have the unique stuff. Because other than that, it's fine. Stuff.
I mean, yeah, because, like, whenever a non-creature artifact is sacrificed or destroyed, Jaws deals 1 damage to each opponent, and then whenever Jaws deals combat damage, I don't know if that would count as combat damage.
That wouldn't count as combat damage, but it creates those blood tokens, and those blood tokens are non-creature artifacts you can sacrifice. So, it creates its own tokens to sacrifice.
Got it.
Yeah. And that's the engine. And being a trample creature means it's harder to block.
token, draw a card.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's definitely a deck that could really utilize this. There's definitely that kind of thing.
Yeah. And since each opponent, I could see definitely it showing up a bunch in Commander more than anything. But probably it might...
Yeah.
Might have fringe play in other formats. But Commander, I can definitely point and say, like, that's probably the biggest format I can see. And then, like, the Artist series, I think, is fine. I think the most interesting about the Artist series is these are all unlimited cards. Or, I'm sorry, alpha beta cards. All 4 of these cards, they're from the first Magic set. And Demonic Tutor, though it's had reprints, is probably one that I can scream out that one's very expensive. Armageddon, maybe 2. Northern Paladin and Lord of the Pit, no. They never really were that expensive, but it's definitely interesting that it's 4 cards from the original set.
I am curious what, like, how they decide what cards get, like, reprinted and stuff. Like, I honestly would love to just sit in a board meeting with that and be like, how do you decide?
When it comes to Secret Lairs, it's so impossible to tell. And the thing is, like...
That's what I mean. Like, do they just sit and decide, or do they have, like, a thing like, okay, we need to go through and, like, figure out which cards haven't been reprinted in a while, and which cards we want back in the format? Or is it like, this card looks good with this art?
Yeah. The previous super drop of Secret Lairs we talked about, I can't remember all about it, but when we talked about it, afterwards, I ended up watching Tolarian College's video on it, and it was so amazing that, you know, I had my complaints about it. It was worse because, like, none of them, I think one of them, if you would buy the cards individually, had value of the cards. So, like, if you would have spent $30, you could have just bought those cards for $30. All the rest of them were, like, half or lower. Which, like, again, if it's a little less, I think that's fine. You know, you're getting fancy art cards. And sometimes, you know, like, I kind of put it as the, hey, you know, it's like $20 less. I could buy these cards for $20, but it's cool art. I'm okay with that. But when it's like, I could buy these cards for, like, $10 and you're charging me $30, that feels a little out there for the art sometimes. Just a little off, you know? And we're getting some like that, so it's sort of like, I'm more and more like, the art is less appealing to me more and more. I think that's the kind of thing about it, is like, I like some art in some of these here, but like, as a person that has been a Magic collector, like, in a lot of times, and I still do like occasionally getting cards from them, the art's losing me out more and more, I think is what it kind of is, you know, like, I don't think... I'll tell you this. Looking at all these right now, if I had the disposable income, I think there are 2 that I would get. One, the Artist series with Kieran Yanner, just because of nostalgia. I'm going to tell you that. Yeah. Less than the art. The art is pretty cool. Like, I do like the Demonic Tutor art, you know, honestly, because, like, you know, that's the part I like. And then the other one is, I got to be honest, the Weird Mutant Furbies, because it's the Weird Mutant Furbies.
I actually like the Weird Mutant Furbies as well.
That one I'm like, yeah, you know, if I had the disposable income to get that one, yeah, that one I could see. You know, the Horrific Monstrosities, it disturbs the hell out of me. I doubt I would use any cards, but there's just something about that I'm like, okay, yeah, you know, that wins me over. But again, like, other than that, it's sort of like, well, it's fine, art-wise, but just doesn't win me over a lot. So, I don't know. It's an interesting place to be with that.
Hold on. I actually want to check something fast.
Okay. Take a drink then. Chat a little bit.
So I just saw something. I think I know why. Oh no. That's weird, huh? So he used to work for Magic the Gathering, and he left in 2021.
Okay.
For a brief period. Yeah.
Neat.
Oh yeah. Well, sorry, I should clarify. He didn't work for them. He worked basically. He was a go-to artist for a while, but oh no. Like, okay, he worked for a freelance illustrator. He joined Wizards of the Coast in February 2017. And Garner left Wizards of the Coast in December 2021. So he did work for them for a period. Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yep. Interesting little super drop there. Now, the other thing is, we do have some information about next year, which is great. But also, I'm not going to lie, it looks as though there's 7 sets on the agenda next year. We already were overwhelmed with 6. There's a, in between Lorien Equips and Secrets of Strixhaven, there's a to-be-announced Universes Beyond set. Are all the Universes Beyond going to be sets here? It looks like it. They're unveiling the other one in between there at New York Comic-Con in October. So, yeah. It's been bad this year?
Wait,
what the hell's it going to be with 7?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I only see 6. What are you talking about?
It's Lorien Equips, the one that's unannounced, Secrets of Strixhaven, Marvel Superheroes, Hobbit, Reality Fracture, Star Trek.
Oh, to me announced Universes Beyond set. Oh, I see. Okay, so
yeah.
They didn't even upcoming. Okay, yeah.
The next Universes Beyond after Avatar, they haven't talked about.
Yeah.
So, like, we know about the ones later on in 2026, but we don't know about the one that's going to be, like, in...
You want to know... You want to know what I don't like about this?
Yeah.
Releasing 7 sets. 3 in-universe, 4 Universes Beyond.
I know why they're doing this. Because they plan ahead. Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy did this, and they can't course correct. It's the same problem we're seeing with Spider-Man. One of the issues that I think was big with Spider-Man is it's a small set, and honestly speaking, most people that are in the Magic sphere kind of agree. Most likely it was originally planned to be something akin to what the Assassin's Creed set was, a kind of half set.
Yeah.
From the way that things look in the way that this set is designed. Again, Wizards may never confess to that, but all like our... Everybody that has any kind of know-how on how things are designed, kind of, this screams that. So, that was a set that was a half set converted to a full set. Yeah. That's a pivot you can do. But they were already planning out Spider-Man way ahead of time because Assassin's Creed was like a couple years ago. Might have been a year ago.
Yeah.
But, but still, long enough ago that pivot could be done, but they still had to have been working on something. So, I can see them adding in some more stuff in 2026 because of what happened with Final Fantasy being so successful. But I think that, I gotta be honest, Spider-Man, I don't think it's not going to be successful, but I don't think it's going to be Final Fantasy. And the same I can say with Avatar. I think of the sets, honestly speaking, it feels like Spider-Man's going to be the worst of them. I think it will still earn money, it will still be successful, it just won't be Final Fantasy, and I think they've pivoted to 4 because of Final Fantasy.
Yeah, well, to be fair, there's always been... here's the thing. There's always been the whole... People buy things they recognize, which is why a lot of things have a lot of crossover stuff nowadays. Because people have realized that if they can bank off this other thing, they can get more people into their thing. It's literally how things are going right now, to the point where it's like, I don't even... but here's the problem, like... I'm like, okay, cool, you have this thing, I don't care. It's like it's getting to that point.
It feels so much. It feels like they're just overflowing, and it is choking. Like, the fact is, I was going to talk about it in a second, just to like hit on it. They're already beginning to talk about Lorwyn, which I like, and Spider-Man's out, and Avatar isn't out. You can't get hyped for something when everything is coming out at the same time. Mm-hmm. I think it's like one of those things is they always built up to getting people interested in something, and when you don't have that, it just feels weird. I don't know. So yeah. I mean, I like Strixhaven. I liked Lorwyn. I'm glad to see them again. The Marvel superheroes, I'm not going to lie, I'm not as big a fan because of like what happened with Spider-Man, but I feel this is what they should have done with anything Marvel in the beginning with. Because again, you have more characters to draw from. Much more of a universe to draw upon.
Mm-hmm. I'm actually surprised it took them this long to get another Strixhaven since they put out like when was the last Strixhaven set?
Ooh, good question. Let's look up Strixhaven. When was that set originally out? Well, I mean, Lorwyn's ancient. Strixhaven was 2021.
Okay.
They aren't... Here's what I was saying. They aren't good with revisiting places that are really cool.
Okay. I was wondering, like, okay, okay, so the Magic the Gathering Strixhaven was released, well, kind of alongside April versus December, the Strixhaven D&D book. Okay. I was all like, man, I thought Strixhaven was older, but no, apparently the first one was shortly before that D&D book. I was like, yeah. Oh man, I figured they would have released another set when they released around the time they released the D&D book. No, they did, and it was the first one. Okay, that was me just not knowing. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, the Marvel one, I'm not a fan of it, just because again, I haven't been a fan of Spider-Man, but I think it might work better. And then of course we've got the Hobbit set, which I think that's fine. You know, it's a different picture of a different time period of the Middle-earth. And I think the thing about that one is, I feel like you could have an interesting set where, like, the Lord of the Rings set was all about, like, the war. This could just be more of, like, an adventure set, which I think would be fun. You know, I can see that. I can see that being a fun set. We don't know what Reality Fracture is, but it's something related to their storyline. Doesn't fill me with glee because I gotta be honest, I don't know what the ongoing storyline is. They've made it so subtle and kind of there but not there that I'm like, I don't know what your ongoing storyline is. There's too many universes beyond milling about. So like, if you want your, you know, that to continue, which I think people liked back in the day, you ain't doing it now. They screwed the pooch when it came to the new Phyrexia stuff. I don't think they're going to hit the landing on this one if this is like a big moment in that. I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what they're thinking. They did really good with War of the Spark, which was this epic storyline across all their sets. And it was awesome, and people loved it, and it was incredibly popular. And then they screwed up with New Phyrexia, and they're like, hey, hold my beer, we can screw up more.
Uh-huh.
And then Star Trek, which I'm like...
I
like Star Trek, but I'm like...
Star Trek is going to be their next attempt at Final Fantasy. Do you want to know how I know?
Okay.
If you follow the link to the page, it's the only one that already has pictures. Other than Lorwyn.
Here's the thing, though, I can say about this. There's definitely plenty of Star Trek fans, and I'm a Star Trek fan. And there's a lot of Star Trek to bring from, which is, you know, it does mean they have more options.
It's a similar nerd crowd, and I think they know it.
But it's not the same nerd crowd as Final Fantasy, though, is the kind of thing. Because
Final Fantasy has a different level of nerd crowd. I do agree with that. But my point, though, is that the idea, I think, was to try and bring those people in.
Yeah,
and
I can see that.
They're going to try and do the same with Star Trek. And I feel like that is a susceptible crowd similar to Final Fantasy. I don't think it's as strong as the Final Fantasy crowd, but it's a similar thing.
It's one of those things. Is I think
comic books are different enough to where I can see why it didn't bring as many people over.
Yeah, and like the Lord of the Rings set, here's the thing. Lord of the Rings is popular. It fit very well in Magic, so it was this combination of, you know, I don't think Lord of the Rings, it was good, it was big, it was there, but it's not Final Fantasy because it was just like, it was on the par of a good Magic set, you know, that is popular. You know, that's kind of what it was. It almost was. And so I can see that, like, again, it's this weird set of IPs, and like, I think I can see what you're saying with Star Trek, but it's also this one where I'm like, I do worry on that one if they're banking on that, which isn't a bad idea.
Oh, and that's the thing. I'm not saying it's going to work. I think they're banking on it as the next Final Fantasy.
I don't think it's going to work though either, because like, it's the thing. I apologize to my fellow Final Fantasy nerds. A lot of us have learned to take the crap from Square Enix over the years. I don't think Star Trek works that way, because you have to think about how many series Paramount try to put out there, and of them, most of them aren't received very well, because old Trek is what people like, and even then, there isn't the same basis for it. Because basically,
I understand they kind of tried to make it a little bit more realistic and darker. I feel
which doesn't really work.
Yeah,
and which turned off a lot of new people.
That's why Lower Decks actually was very popular, because it was a lot more.
Yeah.
Even though it kind of had a little bit of a goofy bent, it was like still very. It was still
what
very
made Star Trek, and it's the same reason that I think Brave New Worlds is still going. Last I heard. Which was this year. I heard it was still going. Again, who knows when Paramount might cancel something. But that one was like, that's very classic Trek. You know, and I think that's why that one works. And why that one, of all the new Trek stuff, is the popular one, you know? Because it's what people wanted from Star Trek. I think it's sort of like...
To be fair, Lower Decks is gonna be over.
Yeah, unfortunately. Well, again, like... Things can only last so many seasons on the streaming.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad thing. I'm gonna be honest. Like, that's the thing. 5 seasons is, I think, fine.
Yeah, and
season 5 was 2024, and yeah, so it's over.
Yeah, and there's plenty of Star Trek that, you know, I've heard some people talk about, like, you know, there's a podcast I kind of listen to occasionally that goes over and talks about old Star Trek episodes, you know, then they don't have as much experience with them. So, like, you know, the person that's watched all the episodes, taking some people that maybe watched some episodes or none of them on a journey of, like, looking at episodes. And, like, I've seen some episodes when talk about Season 7. And Season 7 of Star Trek Next Generation, this Next Generation, is a mess. And that's the thing is, they lasted 7 seasons, and it became a mess. And I'm sort of like, you know, yes, it's like sometimes something needs to end. So I can see, like, cutting off at 5 is not bad, but again, like, it's also like, it's also, just such a
Star Trek Brave New World is planned for 5 seasons.
I think it's fine.
And they're on season 3.
Okay, if they're saying like we're just gonna do 5 seasons, I think that's fine. That might be a good cutoff. They have a place where they know they're going to, and honestly speaking,
yep.
In canon, we know where they're going to. This is like the Adventures of the Enterprise before Kirk took over. This is Pike's Adventures, which I think is fine.
Well, that's the thing. Season 5, it actually apparently is scheduled to be a half season. That's going to be the finale.
Okay.
So that's interesting.
Yeah, but again, like, it's that thing of like the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies were great action movies, terrible Star Trek movies. And I think because they were great action movies, that's why they made money. Because people like action movies, not because they were Star Trek movies.
I think, to be fair, I actually think people did like them as like a revival of kind of like Star Trek, because it did kind of revive Star Trek. Let's be real.
It did.
And I think people kind of liked it for that.
I agree with that it kind of brought the revival of Star Trek back, because it was an IP that was kind of being left to die. But I think it's the problem that a lot of that influence is seen in the newer Star Trek series, which is why only a few of them have been more successful. The ones that don't lean on that work better. You know.
Yeah.
And
yeah, they don't, because again, those also have the kind of more realistic, darker style versus, and like that's the thing. It's not like no episode was dark or sad or gritty. There are some real gems of like sad episodes and stuff in the original, in like Next Generation, original series. I'm sorry, I haven't watched it.
Original series is a very heavy mixed bag. Again, it's also like you have to take the fact that it's like. It's the 60s. They could not do as much.
And it was also shot on like a dime.
Yeah. It's the 60s. It's shot on a dime with the technology of the 60s. You got to take, as soon as you take those, you can take a lot of stuff with a grain of salt. But then you have to take them also for a grain of salt is there is some really bad episodes in there. And I mean, whoo, what the hell were the writers thinking? Again, I think that's all
they were thinking we need to get something out. We have like 2 days. Come on, let's find. Let's.
So like again, I'm not a fan of the Star Trek the Magic set. Leading it back to that because I don't think it fits very well thematically. Kind of like I didn't like Spider-Man because it didn't fit, and I don't like Marvel because I don't feel like they fit thematically. I like Spider-Man. I like Marvel. I like Star Trek. I don't think they make good Magic cards, but. I just don't know how it's going to go. We'll see. Next year feels just so filled up even more than this year, and I'm not looking forward to the mess that it's going to be. Feels too much. Mm-hmm. Anyway, yeah, I guess we can kind of I'll just put this out here because we talked about it a little bit. There's like the basic lore and information because they're starting their stuff on that one. When Spider-Man isn't even dead and Avatar isn't even finished and they're already starting on the next one. Granted, one I prefer, but just, you know, it's if they do this to Universes Within, they're gonna if they're gonna do this to Universes Beyond, they're gonna do it to Universes Within, and that's why I just don't like the, you know, we're overlapping them too much.
Yeah.
So yeah. Oh, I forgot I saw this. It might be related to the one we don't know about. Here we go. I'm going to put this down here. It may or may not be. I forgot about this. It was part of my entire things. So, at New York Comic-Con in New York City, New York Comic-Con, there's going to be a Nickelodeon times Magic the Gathering panel.
I hope it's not a full SpongeBob set.
Even if it isn't, if it's just random cartoons, I'm just gonna be like, at least Star Trek and Final Fantasy, yes, they're different worlds, similar themes. Star Trek, same world, or technically parallel dimensions sometimes, but they're close enough to each other. Nickelodeon? What are you doing with this? And yeah, if it's a full SpongeBob stuff, I don't know what you're doing with that, you know.
Yeah.
They do say, like, it could be something like, because Nickelodeon has Ninja Turtles, they could do Ninja Turtles.
Nickelodeon is Paramount. That actually makes some sense.
Yeah.
They're doing Star Trek and Nickelodeon probably in the same
Yeah.
way.
Again, we know they're going to have another set. We don't know if that one's going to be from this announcement, but we know they're going to be doing something more here. So they're deepening ties with Paramount at very least for doing more of their IPs.
Honestly, I would have preferred Cartoon Network. They had a lot better shows.
It's one of those things. Is like, I'm sure some. It's depending on how it goes. Is depending on what they choose. Is depending on how much it like feels like it's again. I don't know what to think about this. I dislike the SpongeBob SquarePants stuff, so I'm like on the edge of like the Avatar set I thought was fine, but it's not something I like was like jumping for joy for, you know. I don't know. Again, like if they did Ninja Turtles, it's sort of like it's just Spider-Man, but also in the sewers. I'm like, we've already done this. But if they do like,
but Ninja Turtles is owned. Actually, I thought. Who owns Ninja Turtles?
Nickelodeon. Actually, Paramount.
Oh, they do own Paramount, yeah. But yeah, Paramount is Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon is Paramount.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I don't know why. I thought Ninja Turtles were owned by a toy company. But no,
Strangely
it
enough,
is Paramount.
No. Though I'm probably
Transformers
sure
is owned by Hasbro, and Paramount
Yes.
makes Transformers shows. That's why I don't know.
There's probably some deep connections between the two of them, and that's why we're getting a lot of this stuff that's Paramount related IPs. I can see that because of the connection there. So
Yeah. Oh, we're gonna get a full Dora set. Let's go.
the problem is, you joke about that, but at where we are with Magic, I can't deny that couldn't be an actual thing at some point in time.
Oh no.
That's the thing.
Wait. Hold on. Oh no, okay, that's not owned by. Okay, good, that's not owned by Nickelodeon. The Smurfs apparently is put up by Nickelodeon, but it's not. Oh no, that's acquired programming. Yeah, that makes sense.
So we can move on from Magic now after this dive into some weird level of hell and to some D&D. Hey, it's next door.
Avatar is also owned by Nickelodeon.
Yes.
Could be another Avatar set right after the other one.
I hope not.
Here we go. Their original programming. Doug, Rugrats, Ren and Stimpy. Yep, okay. This is what I was looking for.
Yeah.
Cat Dog. Oh, gosh. They have so many things.
They have a lot of things, and I feel like none of them make
Neutron.
good cards.
No, I agree. Like, I wouldn't want any of these to be on cards. This is what I was looking for.
Here's
Danny Phantom. I could see a Danny Phantom card being okay.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's a few of their, I guess, more teen-related, like, IPs that I think would work better. But they're probably not going to go for them because, again, like the SpongeBob Secret Lair, I just liked it, but as a Secret Lair, I was like, whatever, it's fine. It's just a couple of cards. A full set, ugh, that's a level of hell I don't know about. Anyway,
yeah.
So this is kind of odd here. So that's the. Is this the order now? That's the. This doesn't talk about the thing I'm trying to look into. This is the link they have on it. Sorry, I'm looking at something that's linked here. So anyway, here's the weird thing about this entire little thing here. They're talking about Forgotten Realms, which is unusual because they kind of also have Greyhawk, but they're now talking about Forgotten Realms. Don't ask me about this. Anyway, so they are bringing a thing related to Magic, to D&D, with something related to Lorwyn First Light. But what they're doing in D&D is just making it a part of the Feywild connected to Forgotten Realms, which I'm like, that's weird. Why didn't you make it its own plane like you did every else time you visited a Magic world? I don't know why you're doing that direction. That feels kind of weird. Because it isn't.
Okay.
But you're making it now?
Lorwyn's the one that has, like, a weird thing that happens every, like, 1,000 or 100 years or something like that, right?
Yeah, it used to. Now I think it's, like, it's a world where, like, it's... Technically they're merged together, so there's, like... I have to dive into the planar lore because they put out a guide to how it is now. But I think what it is there's two halves now, and they have a day and night now or something, because there's an eclipse area too that's like in between day and night. So it's kind of weird. I don't know how the plane works now as much, but basically the two are kind of merged, but not. Anyway.
Okay, here's a question. You're adding in Lorwyn, Strixhaven, like, and then you go and do the crap you did with Spelljammer. You could have just like kind of done like a whole like Spelljammer kind of meets Magic the Gathering. That would have been so much cooler. And like actually gone into like a bunch of Magic the Gathering or settings.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. That's a genius idea that I'm annoyed that I thought of because it makes me sad.
Because it makes you sad because Wizards didn't do anything related to that.
Yeah.
Again, I don't know why they're connecting this with Forgotten Realms. Here's the thing. I think it would have just been cool to explain a Fey realm of Lorwyn, as its own thing. Why does it need to be connected to Forgotten Realms? Yeah.
I think, well, these creatures and characters may travel to Forgotten Realms via Fey crossings. Similarly, Forgotten Realm-based characters can travel Lorwyn and Shadowmere for the adventures included in the supplement. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, this is not, I think, going to be like a thing. As much as it's going to be like, here's going to be an explanation for why you might have characters, D&D characters in this Lorwyn setting, or Lorwyn characters in your D&D setting.
I guess so, but you could have just kind of had that, because they're saying it's from a new domain of delight. I don't think anyone
ever cared.
Yeah, a domain of delight in the Feywild called Lorwyn Shadowmore. So they just made it a domain of delight in the Feywild. It's like the first paragraph they have. They talk about that under where they have the links to the Forgotten Realms Ultimate Bundle, which apparently is where it's going to be part of. Yeah, so, like,
what is Lorwyn Shadowmore? Drawing inspiration from Celtic folklore, Lorwyn originated as a plane.
Oh, it's below the big picture. It's where it is. That the sentence that's there. I was looking at. So it's above that. Releasing on November 18th, where it starts with there. That's paragraph.
Where? You sent a second link?
A Delightful Twist on Forgotten Realms. No, that's the same one. That should be the correct one. It's releasing on D&D Beyond November 18th. Lorwyn First Light helps you expand your Forgotten Realms adventures with new Fey-inspired character options and monsters from a new domain of delight in the Feywild called Lorwyn Shadowmore.
New domain of delight in the Feywild called Lorwyn Shadowmore.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's not its own plane. It's just part of the Feywild now, and also part of the Forgotten Realms because of this too. They're just kind of lumping it all together, in which, again, just feels weird. I think that's the other thing about it. It feels weird that you just didn't do its own thing again like you've done with all the other Magic properties. Why did you have to kind of connect them together?
It's like, nobody cared. I'm playing a Strix in our Sunday game, and it's all like, nobody cares. It's D&D.
Yeah.
There's weird creatures and stuff.
Why did you need to try to connect these together like this?
Yeah.
There was no need for that. It just kind of feels weird. And also, I'm going to say it this way. I don't think you need it. Like, I guess it's the thing. I don't feel like I figured it out. They just don't fucking care. Here's what it is.
Well, that's
care.
Obvious.
They don't care because it's sort of like the worlds that they're trying to build a story for, they're not really trying to do that. So it's sort of like they're just throwing them together so they don't care. Because it's kind of like, there's implications for this for Lorwyn and implications for this for Forgotten Realms that they don't explain, and they just do it. You know, it's kind of like their poor excuse for Spelljammer, which wasn't Spelljammer, but they called it Spelljammer. Or like everything they do that's just kind of poor. Like, again, like, it's the thing of like, I say about like the Ravenloft stuff. You can just ignore the old stuff from Ravenloft, but as soon as you like name these places the same and have characters that have similar names, why? You know, some of these are like really close to each other and just kind of confusing when they did Ravenloft. Like, I liked their updates, but I didn't understand why they're just the same name for a person. Are they related? You don't tell me that, you know? Like, I liked, for the Sea of Sorrow, I liked the new version's pirate captain a lot better than the captain from the old version. Mm-hmm. They have basically the same name, except one's got like a female version of it. Why is that? Are they related? I don't know.
Yeah. Here's the thing, what it really is, and what they're doing with Magic, what they're doing with D&D, is it's content vomit. It's literally just throwing as much stuff out there and hoping it sticks. The problem is you don't get anything of quality when that happens, and most of it doesn't stick. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes it does stick. You know, Sometimes you do get those little gems in there. But, and that's what Final Fantasy was, you know? And that just keeps them going because they're like, oh, see, it's working. But that's not how it goes. It's like, if you actually do things with quality and take your time and actually, like, put out good content, you actually do, in the end, get more. It's slower, yes. It's not these sudden spikes in value that happen. But, like, your growth is more reliable. Well, more consistent. I wouldn't say more reliable.
It's also the thing that,
there's always chance in
their Lorwyn stuff is behind the pay barrier of buying their $160 pack. You have to buy the Forgotten Realms Ultimate Bundle to get it. They might sell it on its own, but I'm not gonna lie. You know what this was? Because it's only a 32-page supplement. This is stuff that, like, probably, like, 5 years ago, they would have just given out.
Yeah.
And now you have to spend, like, $160 to get it. I mean, it's a bunch of lore, 8 monsters, some backgrounds, feats, and 2 species, which is neat. But, like, there isn't... I feel like a lot of it is just the weird clashing...
Oh, like, that's why.
Yeah.
They wanted to throw out it for the bundle. Okay, I know what this is. No, I think it's even stupider. The reason they're connecting to the Feywild is so they can justify putting it in this bundle, the Forgotten Realms bundle.
Yeah, that's stupider. But you're right. Because they wanted to charge money for it.
Yep. Well, they wanted, okay, and here's the thing. They wanted to tie it to Forgotten Realms, but they also wanted to trigger Magic the Gathering FOMO, because Magic the Gathering people really like when they get Magic the Gathering content in their D&D. I've noticed, like, you talk about it all the time. You like it when that happens, you know.
It's one of those things. It's one of those things. Is I really do. I'm probably on the minority, but I really do like a lot of the worlds that they built in Magic the Gathering. I think they're very interesting places, and that's why as someone that loves basically taking and adapting pre-made worlds and settings, that's my kind of thing I love. That's my jam. I do like building my own worlds too. Don't get me wrong. But I also like taking something and figuring out a way I can use it to tell interesting stories within it. I find that fascinating, you know, as a person that runs games, you know. I like it when I take Galarian and can find a way that I can, like, fit something in there that's very interesting, you know, or Forgotten Realms or something like that. So that's why when they have these places here, also when they do these books, it tends to expand upon that lore, which makes me happier too, because then I get more information on it. But yeah, no. It's not a lot of pages. It's fit in there. You're definitely right. It's just sandwiched in there for the very reason of we can sandwich it in there as something more that you want to get this bundle for.
Because I just searched Lorwyn on their page. You can't get it outside this bundle.
Yep. It's the same thing with the Vampire Asterion stuff and the stuff on Nethril. I'm sorry, like, there's a lot of really cool stuff about Nethril's lore, and they're putting it as part of this bundle, and I'm just like, as an extra on the bundle, oh. And even so, then, like, is this the digital? It's the digital only too. Anyway, the bundle that they're putting it with, which just it hurts my soul. Oh no, or this is the physical and digital bundle. I'm sorry. I don't know. It's the $160.
Yes, but I'm pretty sure those ones are only digital. I don't think you get books for them.
I know, but I think you have to get one of the bundles and you get all of it or something. Just
you do. No, you have to get the full bundle to get them. Yeah, so and those three are just digital.
Well, there's one other bit about D&D. We can move on here just for a second, and this one was an interesting one. I just wanted to mention because it extends outside of our normal kind of D&D area, and that is that Heritage Auctions has had a big D&D showcase of some vintage stuff there, or is going to hold one. I've only heard of Heritage Auctions before. I don't know a lot about it.
I just reposted the last.
Sorry, one I copied did not do properly. There you go. That's one. All right, awesome. That is the correct thing to put there. Yay! Yeah, Heritage Auctions, I've heard of them. I don't know a lot about them. I guess they're an auction thing. I don't know if they have both physical or online, or if it's just online at this point in time, you know, that kind of thing. But it's going to be 149 vintage D&D items that are kind of neat. That they're going to have auction for. In good shape, I guess. You know, it's an interesting thing, but it's also like, I see some of these bids and they're very interesting. They vary wildly. Oh yeah, there's some of these here that are like $5,000 for a bid, and some of them that are like a buck.
Yeah, that's normal. Yeah, so they're online, so you can bid now. It's whatever.
Yeah.
So that's basically what they're currently at. Who knows? I'm curious what their starting bid was.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, the original edition wood grain box set, third printing, tactics, the one for the 5,000. Yeah, interesting. From 1975. I guess there aren't a lot of these things anyway, so that makes whether they're expensive or not. Again, this is like a piece of role-playing history. As much as, like, you know, I can talk about, like, the ups and downs of Dungeons & Dragons. Dungeons & Dragons was the game which developed the TTRPG industry. You know, as much as we spread out from it, it changed a lot. So seeing the history about this and the stuff from this, like, time period in the earlier days is very neat anyway. And so, like, if you want a little piece of history, you can maybe get one of them. Some of them are affordable. Others, they're a collector's piece for a reason.
Yep.
Oh, boy. Whew. Man. Want to talk about Paizo for a little bit?
Sure, I'd like a palate cleanser.
Sure. Hey, we're getting the Player's Guide to Revenge of the Rune Lords coming out. So now, if you are interested in this adventure path, which is supposed to be the culmination of the entire Rune Lord saga, I'll be interested about that. Because, again, like, I thought after Return of the Rune Lords, things were kind of handled. But I can see with Xandergul coming back again, or coming back in the first place, there could be an interesting storyline related to that. I'm just interested in how to go. Just as someone that does follow a lot of the weird meta plot of Galarian.
I'm curious what adventure paths are part of the Rune Lord saga.
Ooh. Well, it's the original one, which is Rise of the Rune Lords, and I know Return of the Rune Lords is, but I don't know if there's any others that are considered path. I think there are, because I don't know if they're adventure paths, but I know there's some other adventures that do deal with some of the other Rune Lords of the 7 original. Yeah. And deal with what's going on in their legacy. Like, I can't remember his name right now, but like the necromancer, like weird, unique lich guy, he is in there too. He has an adventure that deals with him, making it harder for him to come back, which he is a very interesting character because he made himself a unique type of lich because he wanted to be able to do one thing: keep his sensations, so he can eat and taste things. He doesn't need to eat; he likes to eat because he wanted to be able to taste things. So he developed like an entire special process of becoming a lich, so he could still taste.
Yeah, so there seems to be a few Pathfinder legend.
Yeah. Because 2 of them still remain. It's I mean, Sorshin's the one that really matters because she's the one that basically returned and was like, you know, this entire like horrific overlord of a country thing didn't really work out for us. Let's not do that anymore. I'm good at going on a path of redemption. You know, so she went and hung out with the demon lord turned goddess from the Wrath of Righteous adventure. The 2 of them are buddies.
I didn't realize they have like audio books that kind of go into like the stories of each of the old adventure paths.
That's pretty cool too. I didn't know they had the audio paths. Yeah.
Yeah, they're called they're called Pathfinder Legends.
Yeah, because I think
Pathfinder Legends audio dramas produced by Big Finish Productions under license from Paizo adapted the world and characters of the best-selling Pathfinder role-playing game into action-packed full-cast audio dramas. Each episode features a cast of professional actors, sound effects, music, and immerse the listeners in Pathfinder campaign setting. And they have Rise of the Rune Lords, Mummy's Mask, and Curse of the Crimson Throne.
Yeah.
It's cool. Anyway, sorry, I ran into that.
Yeah,
on
no.
accident, trying to look for...
Just to kind of give a review. The one in Rise, the one in the original book, which was Rise of the Rune Lords, that was Karzog. He got taken care of there, and then after Return, two survived: Belamaris and Sorsen. Zandergul, I think Aslan's the one that was behind that, so she got killed off, and she messed up Zandergul, and I think the other one, which is Kroon. I don't know which ones are. Those three got messed up during that time period, and Zutha was the necromancy one, so he's kind of off to the side. So I can see Zandergul, I guess, coming back, because I guess whatever happened with the other Aslantis and Kroon, the two of them are gone now, maybe. So Zandergul's the only one that's kind of unresolved for returning. I guess. I could still see, like, I'm not gonna lie, it's the thing of, like, unless they resolve Zutha somehow in this entire thing, I can see him still returning again, because, like, he has a phylactery, which is technically doesn't exist currently, but could come back. Basically, he created 3 artifact level books that, once combined, form his phylactery and allows him to return. His servants were supposed to do that, but this entire giant meteorite hitting the planet kind of messed that up. Something called Earthfall messed that up, just saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just interested how they will finale this entire adventure with this one. I'm curious. But I know it is one of the big storylines they've done multiple adventures of, so it's kind of cool for them to revisit. And if you want to look into possibly running it or playing in it, they do have the player's guide up for free, as they always do, which gives you, background on the story, character stuff, all these kind of things to help you get into it. And just briefly, before we leave Paizo, they got a new store. The new store, I guess, is effectively
the books
up.
they're in, I can actually tell you real fast. Rise of the Rune Lords, Return of the Rune Lords, The Walking Rune, and Lord of Runes. Are the last two are the adventure paths.
Okay.
That
cool.
They take, so, yeah. There's basically 4 adventures, two long ones and 2 short ones. Yeah.
I figured, I didn't know the short ones. I know dealt with some of them, but I figured there were some. So yeah, basically we know that we've talked about how Paizo is going to be redoing their site a little bit. They are basically giving information on how their new store is going to be and giving a tour on it. And I'm like, cool, great. This has been a problem that you've had for some time. I'm looking forward to this.
Yep.
So basically, I just wanted to say that.
Coming soon. Okay, I'm just curious. Do they have a release date?
Ooh, did they have a release date on here?
Foundry. Oh, they're gonna have some Foundry integration.
Well, that's good.
So you're actually gonna be able to buy the Foundry things on their site. That's cool.
I don't see a particular launch
they
date
just say
for this.
when it's released.
Yeah, so it's sort of like, this is what it's gonna look like, this is how things are gonna go, we're gonna talk about it more. I'm assuming that they'll eventually give a full thing about it, because I don't think the store is that yet. Link to the store and just see. No, it's still the old stuff, it looks like.
It's not. Literally, I saw it yesterday. It's not.
Yeah, so getting towards it, but not there yet. So, and there is one last thing related to Paizo to talk about, and that is because Paizo has announced a participation in sponsoring of Power Word Meal, which is a campaign for the UN World Food Program. So, yes, long story short on that one, it's probably helping give food to the, UN stuff where they give out food, kind of that kind of thing. So it's works through the UN World Food Program to provide meals around the world. Food is a good one to provide for, people that need it around the world. Thumbs up on that one. Cool. It seems like Paizo is now partnered with them to help out with that stuff and that too, and their campaign.
I love this image. It's adorable. The dragon bringing the food in.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice of them.
Did you also? You're still on Revenge of the Rune Lords, by the way.
Well, I just put that as the thing for the entire Paizo. I didn't put on multiple
okay.
slides. I was lazy on slides. I'm a bad person that way sometimes. I combined all the slides together. Yeah. For Paizo. Just when it's topics like this, sometimes I do that anyway. So yeah, it's an entire thing for raising money to help support food and stuff around the world, and that's a good one. It is a very nice image of the dragon dropping food off and stuff like that. So again, that's the article about it, and it links to the thing for the thing. And again, just so that, again, we like to talk about how you understand your kind of charitable things. This is working with a UN program for food. So, it is like very on the up and up, theoretically. But again, you can always check into things if you want to look more details on charitable events and stuff like that. That is recommended, understanding your charities. But, okay. All right.
My brother did a thing at the UN last week?
That's kind of cool.
Yeah. He's like an audio person. And there's like a performance there, and he was an audio technician on that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I think I've only been there once as a tourist, many years ago in my youth.
He also said it was a nightmare because he had to like completely rewire the system in like an hour.
That can make sense. That building is old.
Yeah.
So, hey, we can kind of do New Vegas in our Fallout role-playing game. They released the Royal Flush book, which is basically the Mojave Desert and New Vegas. A 240-page book. Did I thought I put it here, but I did not. I forgot to put that link and have it go. It's the wait a second, I didn't press enter. Yep. Me good that way. Anyway, so I gotta be honest, I can see this being pretty good. I've liked the little bits I've played with Fallout role-playing game. New Vegas is one of the more popular ones to have anything from. And also,
it's taken this long to do this, to be honest.
Yeah. Also, I guess with the Fallout TV series, the second season being in New Vegas, I guess that's another reason to kind of make sure to get it out. When is that coming out? I don't know. It's coming out relatively sometime within the next year. As with these things, I don't pay attention to dates. But no, like, I like New Vegas a lot. It was fun. So I'm glad that we're getting some hooks on it, and there's definitely some like dangers and interesting things there that would be fun to encounter in the game. So, yeah. So they do kind of set it, I guess, give you information as probably during the time period of New Vegas, it looks like. I assume what they'll probably not do in this book is give us a lot of, like, what the official lore post-New Vegas is. Because I guess...
Probably not.
They're leaving that for the TV series. Because even the TV series might not explore the full what happened after the game. Because I know that it's supposed to be kind of set after that time period. But we don't know the full result of that. So they might be saving that for any kind of reveals. So there's going to kind of be like, if you want to know about that, watch the series, Get multiple things, and then you can adapt.
I mean, it's more a setting and more for playing in the setting.
Yeah, that's true. Because again, like, a lot of what happens in that region doesn't really matter to the entire plot of the game. I'm not going to lie.
I mean, it can go into the past, and it can potentially even talk about the game. But in the end, because that's the thing, is there's also like, the TV show will probably decide the canon ending if they're going to go into what happened after. Because that's the problem with the Mojave thing, is there's literally, like, the whole idea of it is there are, like, 4 factions, Yeah. All vying for power.
Yeah. So that'll be kind of interesting.
House, your character, the one group and the other group. The Legion and the NCR.
Yeah, Legion, NCR, House, and technically you are the fourth. You as the player character become the 4th faction.
Yeah. Basically. And basically it's more you become it by overthrowing House and siding with Yes Man. But
again, that's why there's a 4 endings. This is interesting here. I do like, and I'd be curious about it, because they say host a new NPCs and 3 new character origins. And Follower of the Apocalypse, Viper Initiate, those are neat. That's a gang. Followers of Apocalypse, that's neat. The Enclave Revenant, that's the one that kind of stands out for me, because that's one that's like always been kind of a little bit more villainous. Because the Enclave, they ain't great, but I guess as a remnant, you could be like an offshoot that's like, I guess things went pretty bad for us. We can find a new way to work with it. I don't know. That's kind of like an interesting one for a character origin, and like I would love to see how a player could make that work. You know, because that's such a group that's not had good storylines related to them. They do a kind of like they do a lot of not good things. The Enclave. I'm not going to get into that. They are rarely ever portrayed as anything close to being good guys. We'll just put it that way. Yep. They're definitely an interesting group to like have there then. So yeah.
Yeah, they're kind of the main antagonists of the series, to be honest.
Yes. They are at fault for a lot of the bad things that have happened in a lot of the games. Not all of them, but a lot of it.
Oh yeah. Okay. I just did a quick refresher by looking it up. Yeah, their whole goal is to like continue the war with China. But,
yeah. Again, it's the other thing is like, I would love for one of these books to go somewhere outside of the U.S. I'm not going to lie.
100% I agree.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to because Bethesda would basically have to approve that.
Yeah.
And I think Bethesda would probably want to save that for themselves if they ever actually make a game in that set there.
I think you could probably do it if you went to a place that would be like interesting, but not like mainline game interesting. Like, I feel
you
like
could go to China, is what you're saying.
You couldn't go to China, no. But like you could maybe go to somewhere in Europe. Like there was the mod that the people that modded in that Fallout London game. London is an interesting place that I feel like Bethesda would want to maybe do, but you could like also say like, well, what about like Rome or Paris or something like that? That would be somewhere in like, you know, Spain, or you know, maybe the mountains or somewhere in Germany, you know, too. You could have adventures in some of these areas that were like, or just maybe like do a general like discussion on what's going on in Europe without like particularly like zoom into an area, so that it would be like an overview. And so you could play games using that overview, but if Bethesda wants to come in and build what's actually going on there, they can. I don't know. There's directions, but I don't know if we'll ever see that. Don't know, but I'm very happy to get the book. It's a cool book. I'm sure Momo knows about it, but I should poke them about it and be like, hey, it's pretty cool. You might like it. So let's talk a little Warhammer here for a brief to finish up. Cool. I guess we can start with the big one here, and this is a very interesting one. We talked about how they were doing stuff for the Harlequins, which was kind of an unusual group. They did the Drukhari. So, if you do not know about the Drukhari, they're like dark elves in Warhammer, but they're like dark elves. Like, they are probably the most horrific faction of all. They're the people that capture you, enslave you, torment you, and then once they're done tormenting you, turn you into furniture, which they keep you alive for like ever as furniture. They're like the horrible torture cult people, you know. So it's interesting that they're getting a codex of rules for them. I guess they're more popular than the other space elves.
I mean, it's kind of the whole thing is that people like the weird thing part. Like, again, there's a reason people either like the Spruce Marines or they like the Chaos. You know, like, it's basically those are the two groups.
Yeah.
And
this feels like it's more on the Chaos directions, too. Yeah.
Yep.
The horrific, evil, monstrous, you know. Yeah, I can see that being that why, like, this one might have enough popularity to get a codex here thrown in there. So that's interesting. I just found it fascinating that like that's one of the ones we get a codex for.
I think because they're even kind of more chaos than the chaos, you know, like that's why.
True. Yeah. They are the true essence of debauchery. Anyway, now there's other stuff other than Wrath and Glory, but Wrath and Glory being the Warhammer RPG, we are getting some bundles that they're talking about here, that you can get some stuff from Wrath and Glory, Soulbound, and Fantasy Roleplay. I think Fantasy Roleplay is also the Warhammer. I don't know about... Soulbound might be also... Let me take a look here at this image. I'm sorry. That one I never remember. I think these are all different versions of Warhammer RPGs and bundles. So, yeah. I keep forgetting that there's so many different versions of the Warhammer RPG.
But they're all kind of compatible, so...
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah, Wrath and Glory, I mean, okay, I should say not... Well, Fantasy, though. Fantasy and...
And these are up on Humble, too, so you can kind of see the... Yep. It looks like Children's Health Foundation.
President do the Humble link.
Oh, yeah. I'll do the Humble link, too. I'll put that there.
I have to go and look through to see how many of these I
have. I will fix that in a second because I did the full link because I'm a fool with all that stuff at the end. Here is the not horrific link. I keep forgetting that sometimes. Again, like this is Age of Sigmar, Fantasy, which are technically different now, and then Wrath and Glory, which is 40k, and I guess Soulbound is also Sigmar?
Yeah, Soulbound...
No, Sigmar is Sigmar. Okay, Soulbound is Sigmar. Fantasy is the other fantasy one, which was different sets of rules because reasons. Again, the Warhammer RPG and their entire set of games and stuff just confuses me a lot sometimes. And then, so... again, if you want to do a lot of...
There's another one.
Yeah. Because I think Wrath and Glory and Imperium Maledictum are the compatible that are, like, different groups you'd be playing, this kind of thing. Yeah. I think the Soulbound and Age of Sigmar, Soulbound, and Fantasy are also semi-compatible, but they're different settings because they're different versions of the original Fantasy. Because I think it's like one of them's based on the original version of the Warhammer Fantasy, and because they did a new version of Warhammer Fantasy, the other's based on that one. Okay, I've explained it, kind of. So they are probably compatible, but different settings, while the other 40k ones are all the same setting. They're just different groups you'll be playing as.
Yep.
Cool. God damn you, Warhammer. Damn you, Warhammer. But yes, so Children's Health Foundation. I've heard about that one as a group before that helps with health related stuff. But if you want to look into the charity, go ahead too. Anyway.
Yep.
Shall we have a deeper discussion? Well, actually, we're about an hour and a half in. I'm
down to do a deeper discussion.
Okay.
Depends on what. Okay, what is it? That's the question.
We're going to talk about epic adventures and how epic they should be.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, let's do that then. That's what I thought it was an interesting topic because this is kind of like the idea of a lot of big stories that people tell in role-playing games tend to be pretty epic. You tend to tell these like big stories with great adventures and then talk about, and especially those adventures that go to pretty high levels. Like, it's the thing about, like, I can say, your adventure in Fall of Avonswell is pretty epic, but it's not going to be, like, a major storyline, like, epic. It's sort of like, yeah, you're trying to find this entire thing, which might be, like, a possible thing. You're not defeating the great evil. You're finding a way to save as many people as possible. That's a pretty good storyline, where, like, you know, when some of the like Momo storylines of like the, you know, spaceship crashing on a planet exploding because Joe did something, you know, that's a pretty crazy epic story, you know, and changing the course of a planet, you know, that's pretty epic. But the question then comes down to, I want to tell a big story, but where does it go to ridiculous cartoon levels? You know, there is a fine line between that, you know, like, I don't think I could switch the story from where you are in Fall of Avonswell to we're going to go fight the big bad and defeat the entire army. You know, we're nowhere near that kind of storyline. You know, that's jumping a couple levels of shark over there, you know, to go that direction.
I want to take a step back real fast. So the all of the as far as I'm aware, all of the books in the Humble Bundle are the ones by Crucible 7. Okay, so they're all the same. So those are the compatible ones.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, I think they've been the major group that's been producing Warhammer, all the Warhammer role-playing games, though. So, as of late. I don't know if they're the only one right now, but they're the major one.
I think there's 2. Yeah. But, yeah.
Anyway. But they're all compatible with themselves, because that's, you know, they love doing it.
Yeah. Anyway, so I just want to make that clear. Anyway, but yeah, so basically, how epic should you go is basically the idea.
Yeah, I think it's a thought that, like, you know, you can tell a big story, but, like, you know, there is questions on, like, how crazy you should make a story, how big you should make a story, and I think those are things to, like, keep in mind whenever you're telling these big stories and epic stories and stuff like that. Because, like, I've experienced some games which are pretty, like, epic in scale, and I'm not gonna lie, they also, like, sometimes they just don't hit the landing because they, like, you want to tell this really epic tale and it just doesn't work out as well. I've got an example where it kind of worked out, and 2 that I can say did not work out. My one that worked out was honestly the one where our characters became basically gods at the end. It was just a big storyline. We were dealing with, like, basically these the four like Furies, these 4 apocalyptic kind of forces that 4 basically powerful gods in Faerun basically were enacting their own apocalyptic plans. Like, just as an example, one of them was I can't remember the name of the god that has the Ring of Winter, and they were trying to have someone use the Ring of Winter to freeze the world. Another one was Umberly trying to flood the world. She's the bitch queen, the water one. So basically, big apocalyptic things. In the end, we defeated it. You know, unfortunately, in the course of our things, a bunch of gods ended up being kind of destroyed in the course of our epic adventures, where we went from, like, 1 to 20. And at the end, then, you know, that power had to go somewhere. Our characters got it. It was a cool, epic story. Had a great ending. There was another ending where we were fighting, another Faerun-based game I was in, where, you know, we went through this entire storyline about this powerful threat that was like this, we found out was a fallen solar on the planet that had accumulated not only as a fallen, like, you know, angel that was very powerful when it had accumulated all its power, was attempting to, like, conquer all of, you know, of Faerun, and had this very big plan for it. It was this epic kind of thing. The boss battle was kind of dumb at the end. It kind of was there. It sort of existed. The entire thing didn't stick the landing. Another one that I could say did not stick the landing was my entire Children of Wrath game. We had an ending because we needed to. And it was...
Yeah.
That one, unfortunately, I increased the scope way too much. I kind of had an epic scope, but it went up a couple notches over the course of the game, which just made it hard to get a good landing.
So this is hard because, like, so for my, like, if you remember Bastion Frontier, I felt like that ended pretty good. Yeah. Even though I kind of skipped a chapter in my head, and but ultimately it was fine. The big thing there was, like, and I felt like, but that just wasn't, like, super epic. It was a small region you guys were handling, you know?
Yeah.
But I felt like that was still kind of fun. Like, you guys actually still gotta, like, change the area.
Yeah, we had a storyline as we gained power and adventured that we ended up affecting the entire region, and it felt appropriate to the type of story you were talking about, you know? And we didn't exceed what that story was.
And the whole thing is, like, you kind of just gotta know what story you're telling. And you gotta, like... There is a very big issue of ballooning. You know, like, you have an idea, and then the story just kind of keeps going, you know?
Yes.
And then you kind of... so that's something you definitely gotta be careful of. You kind of gotta have the scope from the beginning. With that being said, you can do, like, different arcs. Like, for example, you can do, especially if you are players who want to play through a long campaign with the same characters, you can do one arc kind of local, the next arc kind of moderate, then, like, the next arc you can do, like, you know, continent, and then the next arc you can do, like, you know, universe or whatever.
Yeah.
So, like, as they grow in power, like, having those tiers in mind, like, local to, you know, and again, it depends, because, like, the thing, you could also have that, like, world-saving thing but still never leave, you know, like, the tri-state area.
Yeah, that's true. It could be a major plot.
I'm not talking about travel. I'm talking about what you're affecting could affect, is basically the thing. Like, yes, this thing can affect the world, or it can affect, you know, your neighborhood.
I think a good one for an example, but more like that one, is the original adventure from Pathfinder, Rise of the Runelords. That one, Karzog, a Runelord's coming back. Just to explain a Runelord, they're like, you know, in comparison, like, level 25, like, they're level 20 wizards with, like, special powers and stuff that's on top of them. So they're like, you know, effectively level 25 kind of threat. That's a pretty big global threat if one of those, especially one that, like, is horrifically, like, you know, conquering, dictatorial, like, enslaving of the population, kind of very evil in general, comes back. That's bad. Now, you know, the storyline doesn't really go outside of Varisia, and you know, it's just the region where he'd be resurrected in. You know, it doesn't affect the world if he would return. Oh, yeah. Does it really affect the entire region if he doesn't? Not really. You're just stopping some bad guys that have done some bad things in the area. Like, Sandpoint gets attacked a couple of times. Kill a bunch of people that do it.
Yeah,
like,
I think a good comparison, by the way, for people who are more familiar with D&D and, like, Dark Sun, the Runelords are kind of, as far as I'm aware, like the Sorcerer Kings.
Yes, that's a pretty good comparison. There is some differences between them, really, but, like,
obviously.
But, like, a lot of the ways that they act as, like, honestly, oppressors, dictators that kind of compete with each other, yeah, that kind of fits.
But it was like, but then they were all ruined by, you know, an apocalypse. So imagine, you know, if Dark Sun had an apocalypse, but now these other people are, but now they're trying to come and gain power
like,
again.
In Dark Sun, they caused the apocalypse, so, you know, they were ready for it. In this other one, they did not predict or want giant rock from the sky to come in, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, ultimately, yeah, like, that's the thing. And that's the whole thing about, like, scope. Like, I'm gonna be honest, if you're level 5 adventurers, if your level 5 adventurers are stopping a bad guy who's going to, like, destroy the world, that doesn't actually feel right.
Yes.
There's something about, like, okay, we may have stopped, like, there's a way to do it, but generally being like, oh, you killed the tomcat that was going to destroy the world. It's like, what? You know, at level 1, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's an important way to look at it, too, is that side that says scope. Because it's like, I think we've talked about scope before in a lot of other adventures, but when you're talking about this, like, big, overarching, epic story that has, you know, like, feels like an adventure novel, feels like you're doing a Lord of the Rings, or feels like you're doing these big, you know, fantasy stories, you can tell those tales, but you still have to recognize the scope of when to have these big events, when to have these things, understand when it's important, and when your players earn them, rather than just be kind of given them, and when you're not, like, skipping steps. It's sort of like using Lord of the Rings. Frodo went on a goddamn journey and visited a lot of places and went through a lot of shit to get to the ring, to throw it into the volcano, you know, to get the ring to the volcano and throw it in. You can't eagle it there Because yes, that sounds like a more logical thing, but your players, just like anybody watching a movie or reading a story, would be horrifically disappointed in it because it would be boring.
Yeah, and I think there's another thing here. Like, you can have epic in different ways. Like, is it Frodo and Sam epic where you're fighting an uphill battle against all odds where you have no chance? That's a type of epic. Or are you doing, like Aragorn, son of Arathorn, and you're fighting gigantic battles against all odds, or
Yeah,
because that's what you're doing. It's like Lord of the Rings has both.
Yeah.
And so it's like you gotta also know what your players want, because that's the thing. You can have epic, and your characters, like, that's the thing. Like, your characters can still be like, you don't have to get to level 20 for epic. Like, as if your characters are like level 10, but they're like sneaking behind enemy lines to like destroy the thing and knowing they're gonna die in the process, it's like, that's a type of epic.
Yeah.
It depends on what your group wants as well. Like, I have a friend who literally only sees epic as how cool of a thing can I do. If that's your group, then you have a different epic to go to shoot for,
I think that's the thing too, is like, you can imply what kind of story you're telling to your players at the beginning of it, and I think that helps too. It's sort of like, this is the type of story that you're going to have.
You need to tell your players your genre.
Yeah.
Actually, you almost do need to tell your players kind of scope, or at least give them the impression of scope.
It is very important for your players to recognize the type of game that you're going to be doing. I think that's the big thing about it. We've talked about that before for genres and a lot of stuff. And
yeah, and from what I remember, that was part of the big problem with the Rise of Madness thing you did, is that like the players kind of had a different impression of what the game was going to be.
Yeah. The thing about that is, I think Madness went bad in a lot of ways. We take Madness as an example for that first story. Like, I told characters, and this is the thing, I told players from the beginning, like, hey, this is the current setup. Something crazy is going to happen. It's going to change everything. But this is the kind of apocalyptic end of the world setup to begin with. You don't know what that change is going to be. It's going to be sudden. It's going to be surprising. It's going to be, something that you'll have to adapt to. No one was ready for an adaptation, even though I told them that. Like, I put that in front of them, and no one took it to heart, which was a problem.
Yeah,
I think one player took it to heart. I think Joe took it to heart. He's the only one.
Yeah. But again, I'm going to be honest, that is, in my opinion, a failing on your end that you didn't make it clear.
I could have given better details on that kind of thing and kind of established a little bit more of that.
I don't mean to put, say, I'm not saying it was like, like you tried. I'm not saying,
I'm not going to lie.
My point is that
I still didn't do enough with that. I agree. I could have done that a lot better. I could have been like, this is the current threat now, and I could have said rather, something's going to change that will, in the storyline, give you an opportunity to survive and change and be out of threat, and you will have more of a survival situation, an exploration situation on your hands. I could have said that. That wouldn't have given many details about what's going to happen, but already I've expressed exploration, survival. Those are two major factors that are changing there. And, it will lead you down a path that may, and I could have also then said, like, it will lead you down a path that may discover secrets about your world and beyond that will, big part of the story, and as to why perhaps maybe you had that opportunity to survive.
Yeah, well, okay, I'm going to be honest, like, I talked to, because Tiv was in that game, right?
Tiv was in that game.
Yeah, I remember talking to him about it, and he basically said, you made it sound like it was going to be a very epic thing, but in the end it was a lot more like survival, and
that was me doing it badly.
Yeah.
There was an epic tale to tell. I drug it out too long. I had I had too much fluff in there. Way too much fluff.
If I remember correctly, he switched to a new character partway through because he was like, it just didn't feel like his character fit, and so yeah, and that's kind of what I'm saying. Is like, you really do need to, and again, that was a bad introduction, and it was also
a bad on my end for me running that one, because I had too much fluff, that made it like those epic moments not happen as often, and also was just like there was just there was way too many mistakes in that one. I'm gonna tell you that one. That one, no, I look back and I know
you're aware of. I know you're aware of this. I'm not trying to rag on you. I know. And
it's a good example of like that's the reverse where you want it to be that epic and it's not, which is also another problem about like how epic it should be. You can screw up and make it like not epic, like too many places to explore, too many side things that aren't really well made and don't make sense to the plot, things like that.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, side things can also like that can be fine if it's the right kind of game. Like that's the thing. Exploration games can be very epic as well. You just need to like, again, it just really depends on the scope. The players have to be on the same tune. Like I said, you have fight a giant army all by yourself epic, and you have sneak behind the enemy lines of the people who are 10 times more powerful than you epic. Both are different types of epic.
It's sort of like I probably could have halved the number of locations the players could have visited, and it would have worked a lot better, because that would have kind of streamlined it, and I could have had them visit only places related to the story that was going on, and kind of establish the kind of mystery that's going on there, and leading towards this kind of like epic confrontations and kind of discoveries that are kind of really crazy and amazing and kind of interesting that way. And that's kind of the direction you can go in, and kind of build into that. Yeah, that's what I could have done. That's what I didn't do.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you could have had. I think it's just none of the players were expecting a kind of more of a wilderness exploration game, you know, and
yeah, and I gotta
I wouldn't say none, as you said. Joe was kind of on game, but was game, but
well, yeah, Joe knew I had played a like beta version of an adventure related to this one. Because that's what I had done. I had rewrote the adventure that I had done because I had a cool idea for kind of developing it more. Because like I had a bunch of notes originally, and we didn't get that far. So I wrote a bunch of notes out and I was developing it, and then I made the mistake of converting a adventure I'd written for Pathfinder to D&D 5e, and it didn't go well. Which on the list is also another mark against this. Basically, changing systems didn't help it at all.
So you kind of do want to be like, I'm gonna be honest. If you're running a system you're 100% familiar with, you definitely want to run a few short like 1 or 2 short adventures at least.
I wasn't bad with 5e at the time, but it's sort of like that was the thing everybody was streaming, so that's why I went into it instead of Pathfinder.
Yeah, but as we all kind of know now, 5e has a really big, especially late game problem and early game problem. It's really designed for its middle game.
I was having such balancing issues early on, and then like I think that's the thing. It was a lot of balancing issues. It was a lot of DC issues. It was a lot of like monster redoing issues, because this was earlier on in 5e too. So it's like I didn't have nearly the amount of monsters as Pathfinder did. So it's sort of like I had this huge selection. I had all these monsters. And there's where the other thing came in, trying to convert monsters over. Like, I was able to make monsters that were of a CR in Pathfinder, some custom monsters. When I converted them to 5e, it was a crapshoot what CR they are. It really was a crapshoot, and some of them worked pretty well. Others did not, because of the wild swings in 5e CR.
Yep. Yeah.
So these were... But... It was a compounding issue that like again, going back to our original topic, I didn't help with not making a very epic tale when it should have been more of an epic tale. There was a big epic story to tell. I didn't tell it.
Yep. And I'm gonna be honest, like epic really does come a lot from the GM. It's really the GM. I'm not like players are. I mean, it depends on the player, but like most players are usually fine with epic or low-key games, you know? And I'm using epic, honestly, more broadly to mean like high stakes, high tension, honestly.
Yeah.
Because like, that's the thing is like, that's where I'm kind of going with epic. That's why I say, you know, Frodo is also epic. Yeah. Because like, there's, you know, high stakes involved for the world. Like that's where I view epic.
I kind of see epic as the kind of story that you'd want to see in a popular movie or book. Like, read about in a book that's really good, or, like, see in a movie, kind of thing like that. That's the kind of thing that reminds me of Epic, you know? That those, like, tales that, like, draw you in.
Yeah, because there are things like, you know, there's political games, there's slice of life games. You can do a lot of there's chill games. You can do a lot of these different things.
But like, you know,
so but
big fantasy stories and stuff.
When we I mean, literally, there's a book RPG that I'll eventually do on my podcast at some point when it eventually starts. That is basically it's cottagecore D&D. It's kind of amusing where it's like, yeah, you fight big monsters, but it's also super chill attitude, and so it's like, you know, it's like it's not super epic, but it is kind of also
it's a weird mixture of it that they try to make the balance, and that can be fun.
Yep. So like there's kind of just this thing where you basically, honestly, I think it's just really, you gotta know your scope, you gotta know where you're doing, and you need to stick to it. It's you know, I think that's kind of what we kind of come down to, you know.
Yep.
I don't know what else to say about that.
That's a very good way of saying it. I think, like, it's also, like... And it sometimes can be difficult to maintain, too. Like, I'm going to say that there. But, like, again,
100%.
We talked about madness. I can use Children of Wrath as a great example, because sort of, like, I had an epic tale that we started on and we were telling that the scope at the end went a little too high, but it also had the similar problem to Madness as there was a big lull point. There was way too many sessions at Wizard School for no reason. We could have just made it one session and called it a day. I had like
Which
10.
game is this?
This was Children of Wrath.
Children of Wrath, okay.
Yeah. There was a bajillion sessions at Wizard School that maybe one or two sessions could have handled it. I don't know what I was thinking with that one, but it was like a dead stop in the story for a little bit. Also, also trying to withdraw an epic storyline when one of the characters went war criminal was kind of hard.
It's funny is I feel like the people who want the epic the most tend to make characters like that. It's kind of this funny catch-22.
I know.
Because they're trying.
Yeah.
Because like I said, the friend that I'm talking about who really likes epic stuff, he always makes his characters like, you know, Batman. Actually, I think that's really what it is. It's that Batman mentality of like, oh, I'm gonna be a rebel, you know?
I'll put it this way. If you know anything with magic lore, especially for Dominaria, the name Urza should be in mind. The big, you know, planeswalker that was part of the big original storylines that did a lot of really, really questionable magic and science and did a lot of things like, you know, manipulate people's gene pools to create perfect people. Yeah, you two get together, you know, or, you know, and like magical genetic engineering. A lot of really bad stuff. Anyway, one of my characters said, "Hey, Urza, hold my beer." That's basically what he tried to do. And it was one of those things that was like, I don't know how to handle that and not have, like, everybody in the world be like, you're worse than the problem that's going on now. Someone was doing something pretty awful that was kind of a threat that was pretty epic. You're trying to go beyond that. You know?
Yeah.
So it made it difficult.
I think that's the point where you talk to the player.
Not for lack of trying. Look, the story, it had a lot of weird ups and downs when it came to epic kind of storytelling, and it was a good example of just weirdness with it. But again, like, how would you have said, because you were a player in this, how would you have felt how big a story Crimson Queen was? Because that's a pretty big, like, story at the end there.
Oh, gosh.
But
I'm going to be honest, that one kind of flopped. Okay, that one was okay. It flopped, but not because of you. It actually flopped because of the 5th book. The 5th book derailed the pace so hard.
Yeah. And I don't think there was and I think by then it was hard to grab the scope of the 6th book. And I'm not going to lie, it was one of those problems.
I think you did a good job with what you had.
There were some things in the 6th book that I'm like, why is this now? That was also some of the questions I had, and I think I was a lot more questioning on that, especially after Skulls and Shackles, or Buccaneer's Shackled Sea, as Skulls and Shackles Adventure Path, when like the main villain gets killed off in the 5th book, and you're like, afterwards, you're like, well, you already had like one big ocean battle. Have a second big ocean battle, and also here's a new main villain who wasn't related to the original one at all. He's just a villain now. And I'm like, what kind of storytelling is this? It was a problem like that. There was a little bit of that in the 6th book too, so it was sort of like me trying to put together the pieces after there, and I'll agree I did okay, but it was an uphill battle. That's when you're using something pre-made and bad writing.
I think you did good for what you had with what you were given with that book. I enjoyed the dungeon crawl, but I was the only one, and that's just because I so rarely get to do dungeon crawls, and I love them.
I started enjoying it because I like running dungeon crawls, but like as it went on, it like my enjoyment dragged on lower and lower. It slowly drew my soul out of my body.
I need to do a big dungeon crawl. I need to run D&D again. I need to run anything.
I would like to actually run a pre-made dungeon crawl kind of game. I've been thinking about maybe taking, because I played through it and it was pretty fun, the Emerald Spire Super Dungeon from Pathfinder. I thought that was a pretty well-written super dungeon, like dungeon crawl.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of a neat one. Had some pretty cool ideas. I've been thinking about like maybe like picking up that one and running it, because it's also like, there is a storyline, there's a limit, it is a big dungeon, there's a lot of floors to it, but like, it's like 14 floors, and you probably run a floor per session, maybe 2, so it's like what, 14 to 28 episodes, and some of those floors are pretty small too. So I think that would be an interesting one to run. Maybe adapt a little bit, but
yeah, ultimately, that'd be cool. But yeah, when it comes back to Epic a little bit, I think that's why so many Pathfinder First Edition adventure paths fall flat, is because they have a derail book almost every time, without fail.
Yes. I'm gonna tell you, I know of one that doesn't, but there's Rise of the Runelords doesn't. It doesn't have a derail.
Okay.
It's got a kind of...
I think that's because their main bad guy is epic tier. Like, that's the thing. I think...
Like, I feel like all the stories deal with it. Even where we ended, because we were on the 5th book. The 5th book, like, deals with figuring out stuff related to the main bad guy, and then 6th book is deal with the main bad guy, And again, like, I do feel like, I will tell you, as someone that experienced it, I think book 5 does a little bit of dragging on, but from when we played it, it wasn't terrible. It wasn't Scarwall. It had enough interest to not be Scarwall. But again, like, also matters, group you have, the way you run it, those things are important details too. So, but yeah, no, I think the thing is, having these big tales of grandeur and epic fantasy and, things like that is fine. You just have to, be ready both, just have to balance it. You have to balance it and know when you're going a little too crazy, too quickly, and when you're dragging on, because, it's the idea of epic scope deals with pacing a lot.
I was about to say, I feel like the key to epic is pacing.
Yeah.
Like, you can have lulls, but they have to be planned lulls. Like, I actually think it's important for things to slow down periodically.
Yeah.
The problem is when the epic is peaking and then it stalls. Like, that's the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can have side adventures, but they have to be in between resolutions, or at the very least a something seems side and then it ends up being important,
Yeah.
So pacing is important for keeping that epic feeling, but that's not saying you can't do other things. It's just
it's the kind of thing that, like,
make sure the epic parts are epic.
Yeah. It's been like a challenge of, like, I'm trying to, because like Fall of Emswell, is an epic tale, but it isn't like a true crazy epic tale. So I've been trying to maintain that balance with it. And I hope I've been doing a decent enough job, you know, with the little things like there. Granted,
it's been building. I actually think you've done a good job keeping it building.
I do also think, like, playing off your players a lot, because, like, I'm not going to lie. Everything that was to do with what was going on being arrested would have been incredibly simple, and you guys made it so much more complex and fun for me.
Yes, I honestly think at this point it would have been better if I was captured, and it would have just solved everything, like, so fast.
It would have been so much wonderful. But we'll talk about... We'll go into depth about it a little bit in a minute here, but I think this is probably a good place to kind of transition, because I think there's a good kind of help for people thinking about running an epic adventure of some kind. You know, understand your pacing, understand the challenge of it, you know, and know where you want your story to go, and you can kind of expand or contract your story as you need it, but be ready to do that not just at the end of your adventure, but throughout it. Like, if I decide, like, oh, I don't want the scope to be quite as epic, pull back across the adventure. Like, if you start doing it now, if you start doing it wherever you are in the adventure, it will help when you get to that end, rather than just doing it suddenly at the end. Or expanding it, too, you know?
That's the thing. You can have dips. You can have, like, an epic part, and then it dips a bit. Like, again, you just have to reach those climaxes. The important thing for epic is you have climax.
Yep.
Like, that's the important thing. Like, that when I'm talking about you can have lulls, you just can't do it in the middle of that building climax. You have to do it on the other end. You know, that's the important thing, I think, is just making sure what you build is solid, and then you can move on.
Yep.
And I think that's actually, I'm going to talk about, I do want to go back to Scarwall, and I think that's why that fell so flat, is because, like, we were building, and it's like, okay, now we need to go get this epic sword.
Yep.
And, like, it was building off itself, like, we had to do these things to get the people to trust us, and then we had to go and get just do this whole side quest, which sounds cool, but in the end, it was literally just a fetch quest with absolutely zero, plot, you know?
Scarwall...
And it took down that entire building it was doing up until that point.
Yeah, Scarwall was both bigger than it needed to be and, like, not written for what it needed to be. Like, there was probably a way to tell Scarwall and still have it pretty 100%. Big and still have it keep that momentum.
Like 100%. Like, that's the thing. Scarwall, they could have even kept it that big. What they needed to do was use the empty space to tell a story, rather than use the empty space to be empty space.
It's like, it's one of the things that I do think is worse in older Pathfinder, and I've seen that they have improved it as they've gotten newer, is that they have a lot of spaces where the space kind of tells the story, but most of it's telling the story to the DM. Or the GM.
It sounds like that's the whole thing. And that's okay in some respects. I think in some ways they expect the GM to find a way to tell it to their players. But, like that's the thing. Like, and I'm saying in newer editions. In older editions, they just told you. In newer editions, they kind of tell you and give you space to do that. In older editions, they tell you everything, but then they don't tell you, like, even give you hints about how to tell it.
Yeah. I think that's definitely a thing that, like, in early Pathfinder 1st edition, they were very bad with that, with, like, this is what happened in this room. It's this kind of cool story. This is the kind of stuff for it. And I'm like, okay, cool. How do I tell any of that to my players?
Yep.
You know, it's good you're telling me, but that doesn't help me, because why do I need to tell that to my players? How can I tell that to my players? I think that's some of those questions that, like, exist there. That's in, like, especially these older adventures sometimes are worse at that. Honestly speaking, I think more and more, if I ever go back and do another one of those adventures, I really have to, like, just ignore that story and either...
You have to get the whole book and figure out how, like, all the pieces actually fit together at the time.
Oh, crap. Thank you for the raid. Hi, welcome. Welcome. Jeez.
Oh.
It was very loud for a second, and it got... Welcome. Hi, I haven't chatted in quite a while. Scared the crap out of me for a second because it was loud. I forgot that was that loud.
That's usually how it goes.
Yep.
Also, ignore the fact that I'm skipping. I have no idea why this happens.
It's. I think
it starts to happen after a while.
Here, let me try turning your camera on and off again. Maybe that'll fix it. That you? That might work for a little bit. I think I have to turn your camera on and off again in. Thank you for the raid. I hope everything went well.
Oh, hey, yeah, that did work. So that means it's an OBS issue. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's still skipping. Anyway, oh well.
Whatever.
I think okay.
I think it's a combo issue. We were just in the middle of finishing a discussion on an epic adventures. I hope your extreme went well. Do all the things, you know, make sure you get a drink if you need to. If you want to hang around, great. If you can't, you know, go get a drink, snack, etc.
Yeah. So I guess that kind of wraps it up. Pacing, keep your climaxes building, and
you can change the result of your epic adventure. Just make sure you do it across the spectrum.
Yeah, and know your scope. Those are probably the big things I'd say.
Yeah. So if you do make those changes on that scope, make sure to reflect that in the way you tell your story. Just don't.
I would also say it's almost always better to start small and grow rather than start big and shrink.
Yeah. If you need or want to shrink, you can do it. You've just made something a little bit more, you know,
a lot harder.
Harder for yourself.
I'd say a lot.
Yeah. It's not impossible. You just have to be ready for the challenge if you want to do that.
Yep. There's a way to tone down expectations. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah. And even then, so I would say, like, if you're toning down things a little bit, don't go too far. Like, it's like, I think there's a couple of, you can go a couple of steps down, but you can't go a lot. Like, you know, you might discover the person that's trying to, like, you know, end the world, can't. It doesn't mean he doesn't want to try to do that, but it means that, like, he doesn't have that threat of activating a horrible device or something. Maybe what he's looking for, he can't find. It might means he's still seeking it. He's still a threat because he's doing horrible things, but it means, like, okay, we still have to stop this guy because even if he's not going to succeed at this, maybe he's going to try to find something else when he finally finds that out. You know, that does mean it's, like, not necessarily a world-ending threat anymore, and he's not going to be able to get to that kind of dangerous thing, but it still could mean he's a danger.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, ultimately, yeah.
That could be.
Also, avoid telling your players things after the fact. Actually, this is actually something that you do sometimes need to work on, Tantus, and that is sometimes not knowing is more epic than knowing.
Yeah.
Because you do like to tell us, yeah, there wasn't really a point to that. I'm like, thanks for telling us that, you know?
I think I say it the wrong way a lot of times. Usually what I mean is, like, I hadn't necessarily had a plan for that, and you guys made me have to make one a lot of times. Rather,
I'm more talking about. Okay, that wasn't it. Like, that specifically isn't what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is, like, man, I didn't know where that was going. That's interesting. I'm like, okay, you know, even that's kind of a little bit. Again, it ruins the magic, is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Well, it was one of those things. Is like, I guess we can kind of move on to that and talk about Wednesday a little bit. But moving on to this one.
Yeah, because I didn't do anything Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, did you?
Yeah. Not for me, because we have Joe's game this weekend. So I think one of the things I kind of want to say about it is, like, my plans were, there was the event of the fire and stuff. You haven't really found out a lot about that.
Yep.
There were the authorities outside. No. My original plan actually shifted because you guys rested in there. Time went by.
Yeah.
I was going to have you encounter what was happening originally. But I decided because you rested, it was much more interesting at that point in time because, hey, time goes by. It has to be reflected in that, you know? I did not know that the two of them would decide to break out of jail.
I didn't either. Otherwise, I would have stayed with them.
Like, it's not that there wasn't some intrigue there, but they in their brains changed the narrative. And I didn't say anything to do with that. And I'm like,
No, I know. That was not. No, I 100% agree. This is something that happens with players. They create their own adventures. And it's always fun as a GM, I'm gonna be honest, when this happens, because you're just like, oh, now like, that's the thing, you're like, I've been playing this whole thing, now you guys are kind of running the session, and I need to figure this out, this is kind of fun.
It was very fun, because again, like, they didn't really need to make horrible checks to convince people what was going on in the end, but they didn't even make those checks, you know? They just let their imaginations run wild, and then broke out of prison.
Also, like, and that's the thing, they did say their characters are all like, oh yeah, no, clearly Ixminor just abandoned us. Like, that was their mentality. It's all like, really? Like, I think it fits for their characters, but I'm just like, Ixminor has never showed anything but loyalty.
I really love how, like, the juxtaposition of them, like, on this crazy thing, breaking out of jail, making friends with, serial killers and thieves, you know, and you're just having a nice luncheon.
Yeah, that was a good transition.
Oh god, it was.
Yeah.
Man.
And I'm gonna be honest, I am glad you did do the switch up for the temple the week before, where it's like things shifted, because I'm gonna be honest, that would have been so anticlimactic otherwise. This whole upside down crazy thing and nothing happens. You just get your thing and leave.
Oh, no. There was something going to happen. You would have showed up during the event.
I know.
Nothing would have happened when you left. Oh, I see what you said.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I was actually planning for something to happen even without the little bit of treasure though, still too. That actually was hinted at in the Oracle's discussions with Joe. She knew something was going. She was saying that.
Oh, end in her death. Yeah, it would end in her death. Your course of actions will end my death.
Yeah, she knew that what was going to happen with the fire and stuff, and she says like, I have people on guard ready for it.
Yeah.
She actually hinted at something was going to happen. It's just you showed up after it instead.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, that makes sense. I was thinking further down the line, but no, I didn't expect it to be so soon.
She's just actually quite a little bit right then and there. Yep. I thought
it would trigger something which would make the city fall for certain, which would get her killed. Like, that's what I thought it was going to be.
No, and I think, like, I'm curious that, like, none of you really looked into... Well, I guess your character was interested, but everybody else wanted to kind of get out of there and stuff like that, rather than look into what was happening there. Because you could have looked into what was happening there. Well, honestly, you could have asked a lot of people here and there, but, like...
Yep.
Every time you've asked people, it's people that like, don't know about things, too.
I mean, again, I would have liked to get... I was hoping to maybe talk to... Like, I would have liked to wait and talk with Tolan, and gotten maybe because Tolan and the whole thing with his with the king, the Thane's brother, I thought we could have been able to get to talk with him and find out more about what's going on.
Yeah.
But then they broke out and it became impossible.
Yeah. Here's the thing, too.
So, like,
they probably could have asked the people that captured them and found out. The guards would have been able to tell them anything.
They could have found out in an interrogation. Like, that's the thing. If they were interrogated, they probably could have been just told, like, where were you? How did, what dark magics did you do? And, like, they would have explained it kind of by also interrogating them. You know, like, I totally get, like, everything that could have happened. But, oh my gosh, it was just, okay. And again, I'm not mad about it.
Oh, yeah,
Ixminor's mad about it, but I'm not.
I enjoyed that a lot, because I gotta be honest, I didn't think you guys would go to the Thieves Guild. I had a couple of notes about it, and I told you about it, but I did not think you guys would connect up to it. You know?
To be fair, like, this was very much a thing where they were kind of really wanting to do that route, and I'm just like, no, we have to be upstanding. And now they forced it. I shouldn't have left them alone for 2 seconds. That was my bad.
You left them alone for 2 seconds, and they cause all chaos and destruction.
And they release a serial killer and join the Thieves Guild.
Like,
less than 6 hours has passed. How did you manage?
Like, I'll admit, I may have made the serial killer worse by the end of the session, but I already knew he was going to be a horrible
100%.
murderer that had killed a bunch of people. You know, that was established soon as they saw him.
Yep. That's whole. I do love it. It's great.
I did add the face stealing thing in, which was really kind of like made it even worse, but I like that I did that to them.
Yep. Anyway.
It was a good time.
I thought it was fun, even though I didn't actually do too much because, you know, it was mostly their adventure. It was a fun session.
I think that's like one of those ones that like you finding that adaptation between all this stuff is very fun. You can kind of
there is kind of this thing where it's like as a GM where it's kind of fun to have a mix of plan and improv. Like if things go too well, sometimes it's boring as a GM.
Yeah.
Unless it's combat, you want your combat to go smoothly.
Yes. I will admit it. A lot happened in the session. It really did. It was just a series of choices that ended up insane. And
basically we walked out of a burning church because we were in the basement when it was on fire. And then it's just like they get arrested, I sneak away because my character is a tiny ferret. And like so I'm able to slip away when they get arrested. But I'm also the sensible one. So
So they were all like, "Ah, man, they're going to like, you know,
interrogate us, pin this on us. We're gonna go to jail forever." You know, and it's just all like,
They were in there for 3 seconds, and they all started talking about breaking out. It was so like, I'm like, and the thing is, they weren't being quiet about it. I specifically said, "You have neighbors," so they're talking about breaking out next to people.
My favorite was when I like this is in the chat in the individual chat, and I'm just like Ixpanor on his way to like free his friends, and it was like, you know, and they're like breaking out, and that's just like wasn't that in the background because it was just like,
it was so good. It was so good. I'm just sorry the amount of misadventures that happened were. It's kind of one of my favorite sessions quite a while. Like I liked some of the last I think I've really liked the sessions you've had in Avonswell because they've just been so crazy and such great stories, and they still fit. Like, you went from, you know, a party to going into an underground temple and finding, like, ancient artifacts to, you know, solving a puzzle to breaking out of jail and going into joining the Thieves Guild. It's just been ups or downs.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just like, Ixpanor wish it wasn't quite that way, but, you know, otherwise
it's been an adventure. I think you had more this week because you had today, but I don't think I had anything else.
Yeah, that's the only other thing I really had was my game today, where it again wasn't really uneventful. So last week we gathered and identified loot. This week we distributed loot and then left. And then we basically went to a place and basically told them that, okay, this place is clear. And then we went on to the next place and we're like, hey, this place is clear. Do you want to go re-sanctify it to your DD, which was disgraced there? And then they're like, sure. And they're like, but we need money to do that. And so we gave them a bunch of money. And then we went on to the next place and we're like, hey, can you, because our druid was like, hey, we also want to bring life back to the place, you know, make it have plants again. So we went off to this next place and hired some druids to also go there and help. And that was basically the session. And then we also did a bit of a shopping trip, and I spent literally half the gold I got from the whole loot session because expensive things.
It doesn't sound like a terrible session. It just sounds like a little bit of a crazy session in a lot of ways.
Oh, it's just a down session. It's fine. It was fun. Like that's the thing. I enjoyed it, but it was very much this. Yeah, it is like, you know. I mean, there was a shopping trip. You know.
You went shopping. Woo! All right. Well, I think that's a good place to leave off for today. Some really good discussions and topics and stuff like that, and I hope everybody's enjoyed hanging around, learning about some things. So thank you, Worm. If you want to give your shout out before we kind of head on.
Yeah. I'm DiamondWyrm. You can find me on twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm or at DiamondWyrm on Twitter and Blue Sky, and DiamondWyrm9234 on YouTube. Hopefully someday I'll be able to shorten that. My next stream will be tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. PDT. And I'm probably gonna play Hollow Knight, Silk Song.
Silk Song's very good.
Yeah,
I
think I'm gonna do 2 Silk Songs, 1 Tactical Breach Wizards, and I'll probably keep that pattern until one of them is done.
Yeah. Silk Song, depending on which ending you want to get, depends on how long it is. Just like Hollow Knight. It's exactly the same way as Hollow Knight.
Now, I do have a where you can kind of choose your ending over and over again.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's sort of like in Hollow Knight, where you get to that entire, like, basic plot line of, hey, now we can go fight the Hollow Knight, you know, that's the basic ending. Or you can go off and do, like, a true ending, you know. It's the same kind of way.
Got it.
You know.
I'm kind of hoping that you can do the same thing, though, where you can continue after that point, because I did enjoy that.
I know of... I'm not 100% sure. Because, like, as much as I've seen ahead, again, not a spoiler if there is a 3-act structure, though basically the original ending, because again, original Hollow Knight, you can win in Act 2. That's the basic ending, you know. Act 3 is the, you know, quest line you had in original Hollow Knight kind of thing to do the true ending. I know Act 3, I don't know how far that goes or what all the stuff is for Act 3. That's the one I'm least aware of in anything. So, I don't know
how Act 1, and I'm only like 6 hours into the game, so.
Yeah. There's a lot. Like, because there's...
I know.
God.
There's gonna be a while.
Yeah. The amount of, like, you know, weird side places and, like, things you can explore and getting all the movement sets and stuff like that is kind of neat, too, and, it's fun. I'll probably do a lot of stuff. I don't know if I'll probably push towards trying 100% myself, just because at least if I don't know if I'll play through that many times overall. You know, just like with normal Hollow Knight, I tried to get an original 100% on my full playthrough, so I'll probably try to do that too.
Yeah, I did that kind of too. I do find it funny that on the original Hollow Knight, there's actually one ending which you can be excluded from if you do something. And I realized that, and I'm like, oh gosh, I'd have to replay the whole game to get that ending.
Yeah.
Not doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one of the endings, by the way, you have to beat... Okay, so you know that flower you bring to that person in Hollow Knight 1? There's like a flower you have to bring across without getting hit?
Yep. You have to bring
one
it
of the secret
to the God Seeker.
You have to bring it to the the God Seeker after you've done all this stuff. So not only do you have to beat it, but then you didn't have to bring him the flower.
Yep. Which means you have to have not done that beforehand. Because if you finish that quest, you can't get the flower again.
Yep. So.
Yeah. So yeah. Hi. I'm gonna get going too. Remember, check out all the rest of my stuff on Twitch. Again, thank you for our raiders that showed up here. Thank you. I'll be back on Tuesday. I'll be playing more Silk Song on that day. Check out, I've got some tabletop stuff lined up for next week. It'll be some fun stuff. Fall of Abyss was Wednesday at 8. We'll be back next week. The same time, 6 o'clock, EST. Let's see here. Anything else that I shout out on the agenda? I think that's mostly it. Friday with friends with Worm. Friday evening. We'll be back for that. I think we're doing Windblown this week, probably. That's been on the cycle.
Yeah, I think we are.
Yeah, we might replace Peak, but that's gonna be like in a month's time. We have time to discuss that one. And yeah, everybody have a great rest of your weekend. And until next time, farewell or goodbye. Actually, I'll stop recording here and